We the best, no contest. My clique is the best. We the best. There ain't no one like cause of you dumb or you crazy. There's no way, G. Me and my clique, we handling biz while you and your clique just act fugazi. You couldn't persuade me to give a damn, it just don't faze me. I got my Xbox, she can't play me. Money in a text box, I get paid. We the best. We the best, no contest. My clique is the best. We the best. We the best, no contest. My clique is the best. We the best. We the best. There ain't no rest. For the wicked, I'm bad and I'm blessed. Put it to the test. For the rest, there ain't no contest. So what's next? Got me leveling up, I'm obsessed. I bring the fire like I'm possessed. My personnel and my clique is the best. There ain't no contest. There ain't no one like cause of you dumb or you crazy. There's no way, G. Me and my clique, we handling biz while you and your clique just act fugazi. You couldn't persuade me to give a damn, it just don't faze me. I got my Xbox, she can't play me. Money in a text box, I get paid. We the best. We the best. We the best. No contest. My clique is the best. We the best. We the best. We the best. No contest. My clique is the best. We the best. We the best. We the best. No contest. My clique is the best. We the best. We the best. We the best. No contest. My clique is the best. We the best. We the best. No contest. We the best. No contest. We the best. No contest. We the best.
Legally, we do. Consequences, we don't. We're not free from that, but we are absolutely. I can say whatever the fuck I want. I mean, you guys literally have laws over there against hate speech, right?
Yeah, we do.
Right. That's not free speech. We don't have that. But it's probably makes for a nicer country. Maybe. I don't fucking know.
It makes no real difference, though. It's very hard. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Septic Sauce, the chat.
You're here with the man made of diesel himself. 150% proof pure gasoline. It's gas and septic sauce. The new man who's going to teach you where... What's the guy's name who got arrested for sex trafficking? Bald fuck thinks he's alpha. What's
Andrew
that guy's name? The new man who's going to teach you what your papa never did. The internet's newest, greatest, Andy Tate. Gaz, the son of a bitch. The man
Indian version.
Pick him for.
And it is David freaking Jaffe. You know the guy you love to hate. Yeah.
Where's my little Indian Bollywood? You know, I don't want this shit. I want the Indian Bollywood shit.
You don't get a choice. You're American.
What? I watched what's that great movie? Came out a while ago though. PK Doobie. It was about there was a character named. It was this woman, and she wanted to get married, and she didn't. I don't fucking know. Anyway, the point is, welcome to Septic Sauce. I've taken over the channel. I've taken over the business. Gas has been running it into the ground for the last 5 years. It's time to make some fucking money. It's time to change some lives. Everybody, welcome. We're going to be talking today about the PS Pro, Astro Bot, the incredibly filthy gameplay that you can experience in Call of Duty Black Ops 6 beta, soon to be Call of Duty Black Ops 6, basically just everywhere once it launches in November. Gaz, how you doing? And you still itching down there?
Yes, I am. I'm fine, and I'm still itching, but this is where you come in. Your services will help lubricate the itchiness away. How are you, Jaffe? That sounds wrong.
I'll help lubricate. What do you have, a vagina? I told Gaz before we started, I said, I don't have a lot of energy today. I'm real tired. He's like, yeah, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I'm like, yeah.
Yep, there it is. I knew you'd be fine as you get into your element and demonetize this shit in record time. But that's
well, come on. You get demonetized when somebody says what? Lubricate? Vagina? We've said nothing wrong.
Bro, like every podcast of mine has been demonetized because it picks up my swear word. I get demonetized automatically. It just says,
I never get demonetized, and I say all kinds of nasty shit.
Oh, it might be the PlayStation guys.
Oh, yeah, and it might be because, you know, we have free speech here in America.
Okay. and that. Touche, you brought it back. David Jaffe, the man, the myth, the legend, who talks about free speech whilst simultaneously crying on the internet about an execution move you can do on Call of Duty.
Yep, that's right.
We're going to talk about that. Shout out to KJ Wars member for 3 months. Yeah! Thank you so much for the super checkers. What's up, everyone? What's up, KJ? We're going to get into it. You actually forgot until you mentioned it earlier there. The week that Black Ops was revealed, the beta was out. I saw you doing the rounds. Typically, I gel with most of what you say. But when I saw that, I was like, he's taking the piss. He's just
what do
taking
you
the
think
piss.
I said? The problem is, and it's probably my fault, I've started to learn it really is my fault, because what I'll do is I'll do a thumbnail, which is absolutely accurate, right? But it's not the whole story. But what I my brain refuses to learn that the vast majority of people really will come into the comment section or they'll go to forums without really ever having done anything, then looked at the thumbnail, looked at the headline.
I watched the video.
The video, I make it very, very, very clear. I would never ask. So if you don't know what Gaz is talking about, what a real host would do is say, "Hey, well, here's the news."
I was going to do that, but you're a very difficult guest.
Go ahead, Gaz, go.
Well, David Jaffe took issue when I was saying before he interrupted me and then just accosted me for my poor hosting skills. David Jaffe, when the Black Ops beta came out...
No, seriously, I'm joking aside, Gaz is one of the best internet hosts out there.
No, I don't care if you call me shit or not.
Just ask him. That's a Don Rickles joke. Keep going.
Okay, lost on me. But Black Ops 6, the beta came out, and part of... it was quite interesting. A lot of the clips it's quite funny what it takes for a game to become like the zeitgeist, or that moment that captures Call of Duty. And for Call of Duty, it was almost unanimously just clips of people doing so. In Black Ops Beta, you can, on Black Ops 6, you can in the multiplayer grab someone from behind as an execution, and as soon as you do that, if you have voice over IP, if you've got like game chat, you can whisper into the or talk or scream or whatever, talk to the other enemy as you've grabbed them, and so
they're dead. They can't come back from it, right? That they're even though they're animated as being alive, that is your execution move. So it's not like you can wiggle your way out of it. Just so we're clear how it works.
Yeah, exactly. You at that point, if you're on the receiving end, you're dead. But it's like a humiliation move, like in countless games like Gears of War, where you do the execution. You can do the same meat shield move as well. But the difference in this is Call of Duty allows you to speak to the other person as you're doing it. And what happened as a result, which is obvious, I could see this coming from a mile away. It's the first thing that came to my mind, because it's the first thing I thought I would do to anyone who I did this to, is to just say inappropriate things. And there were clips coming out of people like, oh yeah, taking them to a bed that would just happen to be there, or a corner or something, and it just looked like you were digitally molesting someone, and it just
not molesting, they're butt fucking the dude. Yeah. And I say the dude because they're mostly male skins, especially in the beta. Each side only had one female skin. Not that it would matter, then it would just be rape, but this is anal rape, I guess, you know. So
definitely demonetized. Yeah, no, absolutely, that's what it was. Thinking quite deeply then in a game that's Call of Duty, and it bothered you, or it made you give you cause to think about it, or made you, at least it's safe to say that it made you feel uncomfortable, did it not? That prompted you to make a video about this.
Okay, so first off, Zachariah says in the chat, "You're not dead. A teammate can save you from that."
Oh,
so I didn't know that. So
that's true.
Thank you, Zachariah. So I play so poorly. I love that game so much, but I play so poorly. None of my teammates want to save me. They're like, "Let him go. Let him take him into the closet. Take him into the closet with the bed or whatever that thing is." Okay, so I made a video where I was very, very clear. I would never want the developer to change it. I don't think it should be removed from the game. I don't think they should be canceled. I just found it not the best thing to put in that game. I felt it was a bridge too far. Teabagging, for example, is clearly, it's kind of a creative thing the community came up with. It wasn't intentional. And so there's kind of an organic sort of creation of it. You know good and goddamn well the developers were like, well, people are going to butt fuck each other in the corner. And they're going to be saying all kinds of racist, horrible shit to each other in the headsets. And again, do it all day long. I would never ask these guys to change it. They have every right to put it in. I think it is also, as besides being tasteless and potentially triggering for some people in just bad form, it's also funny as shit. Okay,
what do you mean triggering for some people?
Well, I mean, I was talking to people on my video who responded, and they're just kind of like, you know, one guy was in the military. He had a friend. And again, this is a anecdote. I'm not saying this is going to be, again, you can make the crazy face like you're pooping gas, but the point of it is, that's what I'm saying. I'm not suggesting because this one guy, which might reflect maybe 0.10% of the audience, 0.1% of the audience, has an anecdote where it triggers them, they should take it out. But people would assume I said that. But for him, and let me get to where I'm going with this, but he was just saying, look, I had a good friend of mine. She was raped. She ended her existence because of it. He was in the military. He said there's a lot of that. He says that's why you have battle buddies where you go out into the field because you want to make sure you're not, you know what? I went in the military. I'm not saying the guy's a liar. This is what he said. Okay. So my point is, it's not that I want them to take it out, but I said, if it was my game, I wouldn't take it out, but I would give the user the option to not be the victim. You can still get your body caught. You can still be a meat shield. but I want to be able to turn off.
All of it.
Okay, there's the mute, but there's also the animation stuff where they take you and they do shit with your body.
What would you propose there? Like the players are just moving back and forth. That's all they're doing.
No, it's super fucking easy. I mean, what you basically, I mean, it's kind of like there are things when you make a network game that happen locally and happen on the server side, right? If in this case, what would happen would be that if the software detects you flip the switch that says I don't want this, when the meat shield thing happens, now I was assuming, I didn't know what Zach said, but this was assuming that you had died. So it's just like just play the death animation, and you might have 2 or 3 seconds to respawn longer, because ultimately that's how long the animation's taken for the guy who's got your body. But fundamentally, you don't have to see it. And I know I'm going to say this is an M-rated game, but a bunch of kids play the game. Your son or your daughter doesn't have to see it when they're playing Call of Duty. Just let people opt out of seeing that shit. But I would never ask for it to be removed from the game. What's the problem with that?
I mean, I think it's just if you're going to pander to everyone, that is pandering. There's so much development time over. In your case, it's a military guy.
Wait a minute. Okay, that's a different point, though. If you're saying, okay, Jaffe, yes, they could do that, but it would come at the expense of 2 new weapons, then I would say, okay, then that's a really good argument, and maybe they shouldn't fix that.
Yeah, but then where does it end? Like, I get it.
It's software. It never ends. I mean, look at Rainbow Six Siege. Look at all these games that continually upgrade. I mean, let me ask you a better question. Why are you so offended by giving the player the choice to see their avatar being butt raped while someone's whispering in their ear?
Because gamers are very inventive, Jaffe. You thinking that's offensive, someone doing a teabag is offensive. In fact, there was actually I made a video of someone finding teabagging offensive, and then you start, and in your I find. Am I telling them?
I'm just giving my opinion. I'm not saying change it.
I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just offering my.
But you kind of are saying that, because you're painting it as if I'm suggesting it be changed, and where does it end, and it's pandering. And I'm just saying, hey, I played this game. I do what you do, Gaz. We play games. We talk about them. This is what I felt about that game. It did not sit well with me.
I'm not saying you should.
I don't want to take anybody's toys away from them.
No, but if look, this is like, imagine we're developers, but both of us are in the dev room, and you said, you know what, I don't think this is going to be, because this could be a full-blown argument that we could have.
It was. Okay, keep going. That's a real thing that probably did happen.
Yeah, maybe it did, because you've got people there. You've got someone. You can play a developer with purple hair, and I'll be the normal fat guy. Yeah, you don't get a woke. I'm not gonna go down the woke route, but you know what it means. Like, you're gonna have that developer there. You're very caring. I'm just like, stop being silly, Jaffe. And you tell me that story about the military guy. I'm like, you're telling me that this guy went to the army, and he's playing a game about killing other people, and the thing that sets him off isn't the explosions, the guns, the grenades, and all the executions you do. It's the guy whispering in your ear and doing this because he had a friend that actually ended themselves because they had a...
That's exactly what he said to me.
And I'm not denying that, but yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's, and again, this is a very interesting dynamic that will be happening behind the closed doors, because I'll be like, Jaffe, screw your friend, man. Like, this is going to be the feature that I'm whatever. I want this game to succeed. I want this to do really well.
Well, it's going to do really well anyway. I mean, but still.
Yeah, but I'm like, look, this thing has literally blown on social media. If you see Call of Duty Black Ops, you go on shorts, all you see is people doing this, and it's hilarious. To me, it's hilarious.
It's hilarious too. To me, it's funny.
Yeah. But so we're in the dev room and we're arguing back, and I'm sure this was a thing about, because are people going to abuse it? Just like with Black Ops, when they made the option to enable players to customize their player cards, and all you saw was swastikas or racist shit and all sorts. So it's kind of that balance of player agency and freedom with fun and balancing that. But ultimately for me, Call of Duty is all about the shit talking. I used to play the shit out of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and the principle the key thing that I enjoyed was the lobbies where people were calling me a sand person, this and that. I can't even repeat the stuff they say, but it was hilarious because we love that shit.
I absolutely get it. And I'm not even opposed to it.
I know you're not. I know you're not, by the way.
You know, and here's what bothers me the most, Gaz, though, is not that, because you know, I think you're able, because you're really smart, and you don't even have to be really smart, but I don't know what it is, but you're able to hear my point and go, Jaffe's not saying ban it. He's not saying get rid of it. He's not saying he doesn't even like it. He's saying, or he doesn't think it's funny. He's just saying he thinks it's a bridge too far and he doesn't like it, right? But in your chat, you've got Mr. Eldrick going, it's the game. What the fuck? You've got Giro going, Jeffy went too far left. I'm like, so basically what I take issue with more is the inability for other people, especially if I'm not showing up saying I'm taking your toys away or I'm proposing it.
Yes,
I'm just saying, oh, do I not have a right to my opinion? And do you not respect the fact, Mr. Eldrick, that I have an opinion that might land different than yours? I mean, you're just absolutely right and I'm absolutely wrong. It is a game and probably no one's really going to get hurt over it. But I make videos about my experiences with the art form that I've played since 1974 and that I created with brilliant teams for 20-something years. Yeah. And I saw that and I made a video about it. If I would have made a video, Eldrick, about this needs to be removed, then okay, you would have a point. But since you don't have a point, best shut the fuck up.
Or don't.
Or don't. Please stay. Eldrick, don't leave Gaz. Don't leave the septic. I don't know who you are, Eldrick. I'm sure
freedom
you're a fine
of speech,
person. Absolutely. Absolutely. Eldrick is the man.
But look, it's just it's a standard thing. It's just this jostling back and forth.
Radmass Prime. I asked Gaz before the show started. I said, can I read the chat? Because if I read the chat, I'm going to be all over the place. He says yes. So I don't mean to be disrespectful, Gaz, but
do whatever you want. Say whatever you want to whatever you want.
Well, it's not about saying whatever I want. I don't want to interrupt your show because
I saw this guy. I actually love it. That's a feature for me. You going on the chat is actually
Here's what this jackass says. He says, your opinion is the same of literally every far left wokey, buddy. You're not unique or special, Jaffe. He didn't say I was unique or special, you fucking moldy zombie bag of dick cock sucking piece of shit. I didn't say I was special. I don't think you're special either. You go make a fucking channel. You know, let's put it this way, Prime. I'm at least special enough to be here talking to Gaz. Where the fuck are you, bitch? Let alone your fucking membership sticker. Is he even a member of your show?
No, he's
a
not.
Subscriber. Big deal. Big deal.
Oh, idiot. Shit. Guerrero Shelley says, Jaffe, stop, I'm offended.
I know. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry, baby. Let me find you a nice corner in Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and I'll make it all good for you.
So, look, and I see they're so offended easily, says Eskeles Montes, but people don't get it. Like, if you speak emotively about something, people then construe that as, oh, you're so emotional, you've lost the argument. But there's like, me and you are quite similar, that we're quite colorful in our language and expressive. But I think that some people just take that as face value, as you've just lost. Yeah,
let me tell you something. You and Gaz, you guys need to listen to Gaz and myself. You really, really do. Because you guys have been so brainwashed by this fucking internet. You guys, and it's not like Gaz and I are nuanced thinkers, okay, for the most part. But we're nuanced enough to go, don't fall just for the headline. There's a little bit of shade of gray there.
Yeah. You interact with people all the time, and this is what astounds me. But
Mr. Eldrick says, "Don't play the game if it hurts you." It doesn't hurt me, you fucking knuckle dragging mouth breather idiot. It doesn't hurt me. I think it's great. By the way, did you play it, Gaz?
Yeah, I hit level 20 like a day. I love that game.
I love that goddamn thing. I cannot wait for it to come out. And I've never done Black. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this COD is probably one of the best CODs I've played in a very long time.
Yes, I love Modern Warfare 2 and 3, even the multiplayer, but I've never played a multiplayer Black Ops. So people tell me, and I didn't know this, that the Black Ops multiplayer maps are, historically smaller. And so that with their new motion, it is just like every round is a shot of adrenaline, like in Pulp Fiction, right to Uma Thurman's heart. It's just like, oh, you're done, and you're like, oh, I love it. So fuck you, Eldrick. I am gonna play the game because it's great.
Yeah,
but I can have an opinion, you fucking goose-stepping Nazi that clearly falls into line with whatever Elon wants you to fall in line with.
Oh shit, Mr. Eldrick. Is that true?
I love you, Eldrick. I want to make a baby with you, Eldrick. Eldrick, come on over here. Come over here and refill my jar of whiskey.
Oh God! Wait, I'm just gonna do. I'm just gonna do a poll quickly.
Yes.
There we go.
Hector Review says Black Ops 6 is the most fun I've had since the older games. Indeed. Indeed, I am a far left woke. Absolutely.
It's gonna be unanimous, 100%.
Fuck yeah, I'm voting yes for it right now. You're goddamn right. Who wants to be the other thing? The other thing is you're asleep.
Or middle ground.
What? Middle ground? Woke means you're awake. Oh, I love Prime says, owned you, Jeffy. Did you call me right now? Give him a link. Put him on the show. Come on, Prime, you bitch.
Yeah,
you come own me.
If you want to join, you get. I can actually invite you guys in, but you would need to be a Patreon member and then join the waiting room.
Put some ducats up. I'm 53, and you know why I have pronouns in my bio, you idiot? Because after my son came out as trans and he explained to me what the whole pronoun thing value was. I don't care if you use pronouns. He doesn't even care if you use his proper pronoun. You know why? Because he's like, I don't care. He's like, I'll think that guy's an asshole and disrespectful. But what do I care if he just lets me know he's somebody I don't want to deal with? So as society, at least part of society, is starting to go, you know what? Gender may be more fluid, at least for some people, than we have previously thought, and there is neuroscience to back it up. Not that it matters, and there is. I've talked to several neuroscientists about it, but regardless, on my show, but regardless of that, it's done out of a sign of respect for the people who are in the world, and they are being targeted because they are not so gender locked like the majority of the people. That's why I do it. I don't care if this guy does it. My son and his trans friends don't care if you misgender them. They care, but they aren't going to be like, you should go to jail. That's a talking point of the far right. They're just like, yeah, it just means you're an asshole. Thanks for letting us know. We're moving on. Most people don't give a fuck. Shut up.
Well, that's quite a lot to digest there. I don't really know where to start with that one, but
come on, baby. You knew having me on. And I told you that I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, so I'm tired. This is not me at full effect.
Honestly, I have no issue whatsoever. But it's just a lot to think about, and especially with your son is now a daughter.
I have a son and I have a daughter, and they are delightful creatures, and I adore them.
The son transitioned into a woman.
No. My son, I have a trans son.
So
that means they were identified at birth physically female, and they transitioned into a male.
A male. Okay. All right. That must have been quite. What were your views? Actually, I remember you were like, you're not really a practicing Jew. And
I'm not a Jew at all. I'm only a Jew in that there are people in my community on Discord, like Mr. K is one, who served in your favorite army, the Israeli Defense Force.
Oh, fuck.
And he says, well, there's cultural Judaism, blah, blah, blah. I fucking know. All I know is my dad was Jewish. His family was Jewish from Lithuania. My mom was Baptist and Cherokee Indian and all kinds of fucking shit. And she converted. And if that makes me Jewish, fine. But I certainly don't believe in God. I'm an agnostic atheist. But if whatever that
agnostic atheist.
Yes. If whatever that does fits your definition of I am a Jew, then Hava Nagila, motherfucker, all day long. But I don't care. I don't think about it.
I think you can like strictly speaking, Judaism, you get it from your mother. So if your mother wasn't Jewish, then you can't.
She converted.
She converted, though. Yeah.
She converted, and it's like, well, Jewish law. I'm like, buddy, I don't care.
No, but it's just good to know. It's good to know.
No. I don't mean you. I mean when people say, but Jewish law says you're Jewish because this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay. It's like I don't care. I don't believe in God for the most part, at least not the traditional biblical God. I am mostly agnostic or mostly atheist with agnosticism thrown in. Call me what you want. I don't care. I'm a searcher, man. I want to know.
You got freedom of speech, yeah. Yeah. Why do I call you a You can't say that. Can you?
What word?
Don't worry about it.
I don't know. It just was a beep.
That's all you need to know. No. So okay. Well, you're not Jewish, so
Avoid the void though says Jeff is only a Jew.
Cancel the anthrax attack.
He put Discord behind the paywall. He says that's the only way I'm a Jew. Okay, fair.
That's deep. That is deep. Yeah. So from trans to Judas. Actually, that was my fault. I was asking you.
Look, yeah. I mean, I the thing I don't get. I mean, my goodness gracious, man. And maybe a lot of these people don't have children, but my God, when I had kids, I mean, I grew up around kids, right? So I had my sister's older than us, so I had nieces and nephews all my life. Since I was 7, I was an uncle. Yeah. So I find when I was a kid growing up around like younger kids, they were just fun. They were imaginative and open-minded. When I had my own kids, it has been the biggest fucking joy. And I'm not one of these guys that's like, oh, when you have your baby, your life changes. And I didn't experience any kind of boom, oh my God, I have a kid. You know, it wasn't like dramatic like that.
Really?
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. I wanted kids very much, but it wasn't until you kind of acclimate to being a parent. I'm just like, my God, what fun and what love to be with these amazing children. And the idea that my son had the stones to come to me and say, this is what I am. I don't care. I love this guy. I love my son. I love that guy so fucking much. He could come out and say, I'm a fucking garbage. Okay, you identify as garbage, but I don't care, man. You're awesome. You're my kid. So I just don't understand these people who are just like, what would you do? You're going to judge your people throwing their kids out of the house if they're gay or trans or they're your fucking babies, man. Fucking love these children.
You know, it would be tough for me if that happened to me. I haven't had the benefit of that, so I don't know what it's like yet. And hopefully not. You might find that offensive.
Well, here you got to find somebody to fuck you, and I understand that's going to take some time, and it may not happen. But assuming it happens,
God forbid.
And she bears you a spawn, a little baby septic sauce. Come on, with a little hat, you'd be a good dad. But I guarantee you, if you are a normal human being, you will put everything aside for those kids. You're shaking your head like no.
I remembered a clip where I disagreed with you. It's this guy. It was like a Dr. Phil kind of show, and his son had transitioned into this woman. He started crying, and you're like, what a horrible piece of shit this guy is.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that. I actually felt so sorry for him because I felt what he felt. He lost his son.
He didn't lose his son. It's the same. He didn't. He lost. What did he lose?
Look, gender dysphoria is. We're gonna get into the. I forget this is a gaming podcast.
We'll get to games, but gender dysphoria is a real thing, and there are two current.
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
And there are two current takes on this. There is the take that says it is a mental illness.
Yes.
And there's the take that says neurologically it's actually not. It's just that just like being homosexual used to be classified as a mental illness, there is a lot of research happening at the molecular level, at the cellular level, at the
I haven't seen it, so yeah.
And I'm more than happy to share it with you.
I defer to your knowledge on that, yeah.
Yeah. And either one, though, what we know is, let's assume it is nothing but a mental illness.
Yeah.
Okay. What we know, though, is that the kids that transition and the adults that transition go on to live better lives in that respect. Now, people will say, oh, there's a higher offing rate. Well, there's a higher offing rate for some, mostly female trans, because it's harder for them to pass in society as female for a lot of them, and they are bullied and picked on and humiliated, and of course that's going to lead to other mental illnesses. But here's what I can tell you.
Okay.
My son came out at 14, 15, whatever.
Quite young.
We spent 2 years before anything really happened. We were in therapy, not like we need to fix you, but we went to therapists, and we were very fortunate. We had the financial privilege that we could do this. I get not everybody does.
Yeah.
But we went to therapists that specialized in this, and we also went to therapists that did not, because we didn't want a therapist that was going to kind of, push anybody one way or another based on their own ideology. We went to general practitioners, and we said, look, whatever we're going to do, we're going to make sure we spend a long time where you can get comfortable with this and make sure this is what you want. And that kid is now 19. He's happy. He has tons of friends. He puts up YouTube videos. He plays music. He is smart as a whip. He's the kindest, sweetest motherfucker on the planet. And I'm sorry, but he's doing great. So all these people in here that are like, that's bad. Why is it bad? Better that than the kid being miserable, or even worse, because I'm like, you're not my daughter. Fuck you. Go. Gross. That's what I would say, sir.
Okay.
Oh, look at Prime going to work out, you bitch. Well, I'm off to go work out so I don't ever look like Jaffe does, but I'll still be listening. Why don't you save a little money on your gym membership, give Gaz some fucking money? All love Gaz. All love, but you ain't paying the man, are you? Pay him and get on the show and actually man the fuck up.
You don't need to pay. You don't need to pay.
Yeah, you do.
No, but it's interesting discussion, and we would go into a whole theological debate. And all sorts.
Okay, go ahead.
But I don't want to, because this is a gaming show, Jaffe.
Fun.
It is fun.
Look at your
it
viewers.
is fun.
Are your viewers plummeting or growing or staying stable right now? Where are you?
I think they're pretty much the same. They're pretty much the same.
All right, well, let's talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Hey, look, this is where the conversation took us. Let's take the conversation by hand now, and let's drag it to the corner of Call of Duty and have our way with it, Gaz. Go.
Yeah, well, look, in a way, it goes to show, like, the difference of... And I don't understand the internet in this regard, but with my friend circle, we'll have a whole melting pot of different views of different types of people and all sorts. So this kind of conversation it's very normal to me.
It is to me too, and I don't even mind it. It's when these guys come out, they're probably kids. You never know how old these people are.
Some of them are old, man. They're older people.
Yeah, but they come out and they're like, it's not kind. It's not like they're coming out and going, Jaffe, I have a question. I don't understand this, or I don't agree with this. It's, you're a fucking terrible fucking dad. I'm like, okay, that's how we're doing it? Okay, I can do that. I can do that all day, bitch.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They're trying to get rise out of you. Yeah. No,
that's fine.
Yeah, it's just fair enough. It's fair enough, but I enjoy it.
I get clips. My clips make me money. You do with that what you want, you fucking gym-going rat piece of shit. All right. I'm kidding. I don't know this guy. He's probably my best friend. Eldrick, I love you. Go have a good workout. Idiot. Okay.
So Call of Duty Black Ops. So it's not rape, but it's a bit rapey, but it's fine. You like it.
I love it. I don't think I think
Jaffe
it's fucking
rape.
awesome.
Just confirm.
I love it. I cannot wait for it to come out. I think it's awesome that it's on Game Pass. I really, really, really hope that I'm fascinated by this because I don't think Indiana Jones is going to be anything worse than really good or just good.
Yeah.
And I don't think Avowed, even though I know a lot of graphics people aren't very impressed, from what I've seen, that looks like I don't think that's going to be any worse than Outer Worlds was, or Wilds, whatever it was, Outer Worlds. So, hell, I bought Towerborn the other day because I was just curious. And I don't think it's going to be a big hit, but it's good. It's really addictive and really fun. And so... this is going to be really, I'm excited about this because I love Game Pass. I believe very much in Game Pass, and I want to see, can they, first off, what does it do to their sub numbers because of Call of Duty? And more importantly, are they able to capitalize on that after maybe that initial first blush wears off, and can they stop people from churning, or will Indie keep them? Will Stalker keep them? Will Avowed keep them, right? That's really interesting to me, and I hope so, because if it doesn't, it's just not going to work.
But they haven't marketed the shit out of this. But they haven't marketed it at all.
No,
It looks like
no.
there is something in the agreement or whatever. Microsoft's shit lawyers agreed that stopped them from marketing this game. So how you expect people don't know that? I asked my friend circle, do you know about Game Pass? Do you know about that? And all they do is buy Call of Duty every year. And
Right.
so
Did
these
you
like
tell them it's on Game Pass, and what was their response?
what's Game Pass?
No, but after you explained it, if they buy Call of Duty every year, are they like, oh, I want it, or are they like, I'll still just buy it?
They all play on PlayStation. So like, it's on PlayStation.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
So they didn't really make a difference to them. But ultimately, they don't even know what it is. So I don't think
I was
it will
talking
make...
to Pactor about it, and you know, I was like, why aren't they marketing Game Pass? It doesn't make any sense, because he believes in Game Pass as well. He's like, yeah, this should be doing great. He doesn't really know why they're not marketing it. And then I was talking to Cog from Iron Lords and Defining Duke at the Last Stand Media live show last week. And I was asking him, because he was the guy that put out, or I think floated the news that Microsoft wasn't really allowed to market it.
Yeah.
Not Game Pass, but Call of Duty on Game Pass. And I said, I know you're the guy that really kind of kicked off that. Are you telling me that's a real thing? And he's like, yeah. He's like, you know, there. I can't go into details, but there are limits to what they can say. And, you know, I guess they're like, look, it sucks, but at least we own it now, and we'll eventually be able. But they can still market Game Pass. I mean, they don't have to market Call of Duty, but market Game Pass, man.
Yeah, so someone told me the same thing in person in the event. They heard it from someone everyone knows at Xbox. I can't say, I'm sworn to secrecy. I'll tell you after the show. But they told them at the event that they can't do it, and I'm just like, how? How does Microsoft?
They can't do Call of Duty, or they can't do Game Pass marketing at all.
I think it's both. Like a market Call of Duty on Game Pass is what I'm saying, not Game Pass.
But I'm just saying, but even Game Pass, people don't know. It's not marketed.
But that's a general symptom of Xbox's problem. They don't market anything. They're terrible.
I don't get it. Although Sony doesn't do a lot of it either. I mean, Astro Bot came out, and one, you know.
Come on, man. Astro Bot isn't everywhere. Cole Eastwood comes in all the way from America for the first time in London, and he goes, and we're going to Trafalgar Square, which is like this big, like in central London, one of these hot, like right in the heart of London, and you see this huge PlayStation Astro Bot, like massive parade, and he's like, oh, for sake.
In America, you guys in the chat, De Silva says Astrobot was everywhere. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen commercials. I haven't seen a bunch of stuff on the internet. I mean, again, I'm in the zeitgeist of this shit, so I was very aware of it, you know. And I'm excited by it, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's great. It's not Game of the Year, but it's great. But I haven't seen
it's not Game of the Year? Okay.
I mean, it's subjective.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, talk about it.
Yeah, but I definitely think that you know, and it seems to be selling okay. Like at first it came out like maybe this isn't selling that well at all, but it was just digital or it was just physical in the UK, because that's for some reason we're able to get y'all's numbers every week on Monday, but we can't get any other numbers until a month for the most part. But now it sounds like it is doing decent. It's not going to be some, at least out the gate, some 10 million in the first month, but I really think they're going to bundle it. And I really think, especially now with the price, the PS Pro, they're going to come out with the price drop. And people tell me I'm crazy because they're like, they raised the price of the controllers, they raised the price in Japan. Although it's tanking, the hardware is tanking now in Japan with the price increase. It just came out a couple days ago. So I really think we're going to see a $100 price point, or at least a $50 price point cut on the base PS5 and an Astro Bot. And I think they should, because they need to fucking champion that game. It's great. It's worth it. But I don't know.
I don't know. In terms of sales, it seems like it's not like going to be an outstanding success right out the gate, but it might be a slow burner that as the news permeates about this new IP or newish IP, this is something to take seriously. And
I think that should have gone on Switch along with Horizon. I mean, because think about it for a minute, right? Or at least Switch 2.
I mean, the tech is not there.
Switch 2 though it might be, right?
And Switch 2, yeah. But then there's a lot of DS4 controller stuff.
Yeah, but you can, it's gonna, you don't have to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And think about all the fans of Nintendo that may have never encountered a lot of these characters, that suddenly you're basically, it's a $40, $50, $60 paid advertisement for the competition, right? It would be great. And it's not unprecedented. They're doing it with Horizon. Why aren't they doing it with this? They might, though. They might
in future. You might see. Right now, a lot of people don't believe that Astro Bot will even come out on PC, and I think that's a bit farcical.
Why would it not? What's the logic?
I don't know why. The logic is that they say everything is based around the controller, which you can use on PC anyway. But secondly, it's like the legacy of it, apparently, because the PlayStation's legacy is all console based, and everything is surrounding the console, and you have to fit up. The PlayStation 5 is basically you're putting pieces together of the PS5. All the messaging is that this is a console game, so it won't come out on PC.
Yeah, that's stupid. It'll come out. It's a great game. They want to sell copies. It's probably not that hard to port.
Yeah. No, it's not gonna. If the sales aren't exactly like skyrocketing, then they might be more inclined to reduce the time limit between releases on PC. Anyway, I think it's coming out on PC, but I've been playing that for hours, man, and it's probably one of the best PlayStation games I've played in a very long time.
It's a game. It's nice that it's a game. I like it. I think it's really good. I think the level design is really good.
Yeah.
But I honestly enjoyed Crash Bandicoot 4 as a platformer more than this. I think it controlled better. I think it was just, Astro Bot does a lot great. To me, it's a solid 8.5 out of 10. The meta is great in regards to it's just unlock after unlock after unlock systems, and it's like a Russian nesting doll. It just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
Unlock this, it gives you this. Unlock this, it gives you planets. Unlock planets, it gives you characters. It's really smart. The level design is great. It's just, though, moment-to-moment gameplay is kind of like, okay. It's fun.
So
it's good.
I didn't feel... right now, I've completed like 3 planets and 100%ing everything. So that speaks to the game's like, I want to complete everything.
Me too. I'm on 4th planet now, but I'm the same way, yes.
Oh, I'm the same. I'm on the 4th planet now as well. And it's a great game. What the best thing it does is how it utilizes that controller. The sound and the feedback.
The sound is great, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
when
really
you're
nice...
walking across metal and glass, and it's like... Tick, 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 tick,
yeah,
tick, tick.
I was just about to say that. Awesome. Yeah, it's really, really nice. It doesn't... Like, right now, I don't feel like it's a 94 meta. I feel like...
that's... Yeah.
I don't know... Well, I'm just going to get clipped to death, but I think it's a little bit... I haven't completed it. But it's a ways behind Nintendo, in my opinion, as a platformer in terms of the genius of it.
Well, it depends which ones. I mean, there's so many platformers from Nintendo. Do you mean like the new Kirby 3D, or do you mean Mario Odyssey?
Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey and its design kind of wowed me. Like, how do they come up with that? Whereas with this, there are some really neat touches. I'm like, this just is cool. And you've thought out of the box here, or you really leverage the controller really well, use the characters really well. That's not to say that I don't think this is a great game. I think it's an excellent game, but
yeah.
I don't score games, but my scores will be similar to yours for now. But it's a joyous game, and I'm again reserve the right to change my mind when I've completed the game. But it's a great game. It's a great game.
Yeah, and I would also say it has, I think that 94 is very much like my game of the year, believe it or not, and people, get ready, chat, you fucking idiots. Not all of you, but the ones that are going to call me an idiot. My game of the year right now is Star Wars Outlaws, right? But
you woke piece of... I'm just kidding. That's the internet for you.
I fully acknowledge that, if somebody, like my experience with Star Wars Outlaws is a 9 out of 10. But I acknowledge that if you don't have the love of 70s, 80s George Lucas Star Wars, and I was in the theater, right? I'm not a big Star Wars guy today, but it was a huge part of my childhood, and I still have great affection for Empire Strikes Back and even a couple moments in the prequels and stuff. And that is, I would be a fool if I said if you stripped out the Star Wars IP, would it still be that? I'd say, oh no,
No,
right?
of
So
course.
I think similarly with Astro Bot, I think a lot of the reviewers, there is a
Nostalgia.
it's nostalgia porn.
Yeah.
For me, it would be like if they made this game, but it was with the Atari 2600, because that's what I came up with.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't think they're wrong because of it, but I do think it's important to acknowledge that if the brand of it and the brand and the branding and the nostalgia doesn't work on you, then it is a solid above average platformer with some great level design and some great sort of unlock meta addicting, gotta catch 'em all kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's not the next coming of Mario, but the brand pushes it over the edge. Absolutely, I would say.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't find anything to disagree with, and I think that's. I do have some nostalgia. I used to be a huge PlayStation guy, so when I see Vib Ribbon, like that hawk is like, oh man, that's when I kind of last really enjoyed PlayStation, and I kind of went to Xbox as soon as Xbox the original came out. So the Nathan Drake's, well, I really love Uncharted 2 and 3. And 4 to a degree. It had diminishing impact on me, that kind of stuff.
Sure,
but the same thing with Star Wars for you. For me though, Matt, I'm really enjoying Astro Bot, but for me so far, my game of the year has to be Warhammer, man. Have you played it?
I'm playing it tonight for the first time. I made the thumbnail already. I'm ready to go. And then I saw Ben Smith from Last Stand today said I just finished it. And he's just like, it's the perfect amount of time. It's not too long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It just goes. So I'm excited for it. My biggest issue with it, why I haven't played it yet, is just because the marketing for it is not great, even though it's selling delightfully. It's like, it looks beautiful and it looks really fun, but it looks like it would get boring after about 40 minutes of doing the same stuff. But apparently it doesn't. It keeps you engaged, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, no, honestly, I thought, like, will this get samey or whatnot? I did a review on the channel. It's no spoilers, but it's just I've never played a Warhammer game, and I've always been intrigued by the design of the Space Marines because these guys look so cool. But to me, I always associated Warhammer with those Warhammer shops, and if you go in there, you will retrofit your virginity, because there's a specific crowd of ultra nerds that go there in the UK.
And they build the sets, and they build they have the figures, and it really is a UK thing, right? At least it has been. It's like Judge Dredd and 2000 AD, the comic. It's one of those things that kind of, and it was like Doctor Who for a long time for me in America. It's like, what the fuck are these Brits on about with this Warhammer shit? Shut the fuck up.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't know that.
Because it has a passionate fan base over here, but it was like Doctor Who in that it was like a Red Dwarf or something. It was like, I hear about it, but what's the big deal? And I have played Warhammer games. I played their Flight Combat game this year. I played Speed Freaks, which is their Twisted Metal game. They're fine. But this apparently really puts them into the big leagues of making real games, and not just games for a selective fandom that the budgets are low enough that they can make their money back. But you're right, it's a big deal. And if you go to your local gaming store, and if you have a good one, man, we have such good ones here. I go to one called Addie's Games, and man, the whole back, like the whole front is filled with games, and even if you don't play board games, it's just wonderful imagination porn. There's games about everything. And then you go into the back, and it's tables filled with miniature sets for Warhammer and tanks and planes and shit. And they're playing it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, so I never appreciated Warhammer's lore, nor did I even recognize it. And when you play this game, and these are no spoilers to anyone, it's so refreshing. It's like a 360 game, no nonsense. But even down to the story, this world is just oppressive as hell. Like, it's just mankind in the future, just war is all that mankind knows. Even babies, like, they just turned into slaves. They're literally there working on the ships. Actual babies with nappies with steel melted onto their faces. And it's like, did I just see that? Is that a baby with a skull, like and metal bits?
Sounds like Hamas.
Don't promise me with a good time. No, but it's it's pretty dark. And then the narrative between the characters is so well delivered, whereas any other game right now would just over embellish on the relationships and the dynamics, and it's just, it's a man's game. Like, you go to the gym, you come back and you play this game, and it just feels refreshing because it works as a narrative. It works in a gameplay front. It doesn't get boring because the spectacle of it. This is peak sci-fi Jaffe. It's like how you imagine you're in a massive battlefield, like so much shit happening around you. Like the fidelity of this game is really high.
And I love that it's finding success. And I because even though, as people who have now been listening to the stream, if you've stuck around, which I appreciate, I'm sure Gaz appreciates more, will know I'm as far left wokey as you can get. But I agree. Like, I look at something like Horizon, the whole series, and I'm like, that game is beautiful, and the combat is excellent, and the platforming or the navigation of the character is pretty good. I wish they'd get out of their fucking way with all the talky, emotive horse shit. And I don't even know what it's about because I'm trying to skip it. I'm not even saying it's woke or not woke. For all I know, they're talking about how to bring MAGA to the world of... I don't fucking know what it's about. But I hope Sony will realize... Not that they need to suddenly become MAGA and Andrew Tate. I hope they never do. I like they have sensitive artist types there. But that a lot of games just make some fucking meat and potato shit. You can give it it's like let the Valve I don't want to brag a little bit. It wasn't even my idea. I think it was Eric Williams or Corey's. But when we did the first God of War, 95% of it was piss and vinegar, sex and violence and all that, but there's like 5% of pathos, like his family, and he hugged his family and he gave him health, but most of it wasn't that. I think somewhere along the line, Sony really lost the balance between, yes, we want a game to feel a little more grown up and interesting in the characters, but we're not looking for a goddamn, weird shaped novel that they turn into an Oscar movie with Kate Winslet. Just fucking make a game.
Yeah.
And so I love that Warhammer's doing great. I hope that, I'd love to see him take Horizon, just kill Alloy, whatever, and just give us the world and give us a fucking action badass motherfucker. Take Atreus and make him you want to talk about manly? Make him a fucking badass man, or let him transition, make him a badass fucking woman. I don't care. But he's a useless character. He's a whiny little bitch. And I think that's crazy to me. It's like they had a chance to really make a brand new franchise character. Nobody is cosplaying Atreus. Let's just put it that way. That's all you need to know.
I've always hated Atreus in the game, the new in God of War. It's just
I understood him as a plot device. I got that.
It was
and
so
I thought
transparent.
Yeah,
it's so transparent though, and so simple. That's why I hate it. There's no layers to him. It's so forced. He's going through this stage, and now you're supposed to feel this, and now you're supposed to feel this. I've never liked it.
I don't mind if he's simple, but he's not compelling.
It's not compelling at all.
He's not like, he should have started annoying and become like, oh shit, I want a game with Atreus now.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody wants a game with Atreus.
I thought that's what they were going for. I think they're going to make this really annoying little whiny little shit, and then they're going to be nice. He's a piece of shit throughout. Even Ragnarok, he's even more annoying. So I'm just like, with Warhammer, it's just like these are they're fighting wars, and this guy, like, there's no spoilers, but it's like, no, we need to do this, and the character dialogue is like, hold on a minute, why are you doing that? Like, should you be saying this? I'm like, nah, just listen to me, just get it done. That's it. Boom, get into the war. That's it. And if they have a falling out, just dealt with violently, just taken out on something else. But that's it. It's just like, but it works. And it's not just like Rambo, like you just switch your brain off and then it works. Dumb narrative. It works because it fits the narrative, the deeper narrative. Yeah. And now I want to look into the lore of this because everything is skulls. You know how much I love skulls. I mean, look at my hat. But it's skulls galore. Jaffe, if you make a tally of how many times, you'll run out of ink. There's so many skulls in everything, in the designs on the walls, on the fascias, on the guns, on the armor. It's skull galore. And I just like, this is so cool, man. It's just such a... I just feeling that with Warhammer as a game, I didn't think I'd have the capacity to feel anymore. Thought I lost it in the 360 days. Just the simplistic, beautiful, and all it took was a very good-looking sci-fi romp that just throws loads of shit at you. It's quite simple, but it's just beautiful, and the gameplay is not even exemplary. It's actually just decent, but it works with the melee, with the with the gunplay. So I'm really excited to see your stream.
I'm looking forward to play it tonight. How long was the overall game? Like, how long did it take you to get to the campaign?
It wasn't that long, man. I would say about 10 hours, 10, 15 hours, 10, 12 hours, maybe. Not even that. It's bro, I love my short games, man.
Me too.
Just like, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's brilliant. It's got PvP. I want 100% that after I do Astro Bot, but it's a beautiful game. People, check out my video. Who edits like I do at the start segment? It took me like 3 hours just for this 30 seconds little cinematic flair. Like, I'm paid by the studio. I did it for you, chat. No one watched it. Shout out to let me just read the super chat.
I'm gonna turn on my air conditioner. I'll be right back.
No problem. Let me read out the super chats.
Do you think you can handle this on your own, guys?
Yeah, I got you.
You think you're okay?
I
think
I have
done this before. Read the chat, talk to him. All right, we're back.
Thank you. KY Bob, thank you for a member for 3 months. What's up, KY? Jelly? My older GPU, an EVGA 3060 Ti, has more power than the PS5. We're going to get into the PS5 Pro in a bit, because all I'm seeing on the internet is, and I want to jump in as well, but it's just, like, it's PlayStation guys, and PlayStation guys are the biggest pieces of shit on the planet. I'm sorry, the fandom is ridiculous. They're making fun of Nintendo, they make fun of Xbox. Xbox has gone out of the console war straight to PC, and now the PC guys don't tolerate shit, so they're fighting back. So I love it. Yeah, PC Game Boy with a $5 super chat. PS5 Pro, wait until the PS6 come out and it's 800 or more. It will have to be more powerful, which means more expensive, and the average gamer won't buy it. I don't think it's positioned for your average gamer. And in fact, actually, chat, I want to go into that convo now. And Jaffy's come back as well. Shabs with a member for 6 months. I was going to say you didn't say Cooper for once, but you did. He says Warhammer Space Marines reminds me of what Gears of War used to be. Smashed it. That's exactly how I would put it as well. It's really, really good. I actually preferred the characters in this game than the last Gears of War with Kate and whatever the hell they were. But Jaffe, you the super chats are alluding to Nick Marseille. There he is, talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro. The discourse on this thing, man. Twitter is just it's crazy. Like, PlayStation 5 Pro finally gets revealed. We know the price of this thing, and it's eye-watering to a lot of people. Last week, I called the price out. I said it wouldn't surprise me if Sony called it, targeted at $700, and they have. And I wanted to talk to you about it, because unlike you, I blame Microsoft for this. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But before we do, Jaffe, what are your initial thoughts on the Pro as a device itself? Forget the price. Will you be buying this?
No, the only reason I'll be buying it is, like, lately I've noticed, and people are telling me I just have to clean out my fan, but lately I've noticed when I rotate really fast on certain games like Call of Duty, or even a little bit now on Astro Bot, the middle of the screen will start to pixel a little bit. And if that's the sign, so I'll buy it if I need a new PS5, but no other reason other than if GTA 6 doesn't come out on PC soon enough, or Wolverine, or any of the games that come out just run okay but not very good on PS5, and I don't want to wait for them to hit PC, then I will. But I don't find myself. I thought the presentation was great for not as a piece of marketing, but everything they showed as a non-technical guy. I was like, yeah, it looks like a nice little upgrade. It's clear where the money's on the screen. It's not much bad you can say about it. I'm not interested in that, only because, whenever I can play games on PC, and especially GeForce Now, that's where I like to play, because I can get the top of the line graphics. And the rumor is now that NVIDIA is coming out with, I think they're calling it the 5050 card, which is the next upgrade in graphics cards. And I'm assuming that's going to get hooked into GeForce Now in the next 6 to 12 months, and I'll have the best system on the planet without only paying $20 for it. And I'm also not a big graphics guy. I like really nice graphics, but that's not why I game.
Yeah.
And so for me, I looked at it. I think it looks like another very well-made piece of hardware. It looks like they're doing some really interesting stuff with the AI up-resing of individual pixels and replication, or at least I think that's how I understand it. And that's great. And I think if you don't own a PS5 and you're in the market for one, I would wait for that. Why not? Yeah, it's $200 more, but if you don't have the money, of course, don't spend it. But yeah, it's fine. I don't game for power. I'm not, and I don't mean that like I'm being judgy. It's not why I play video games, right? Yeah. So I can recognize and appreciate the visual quality. I can recognize and appreciate if you are a big audio and video file, and you're into that, and you've got a super big screen and perfect sound. This will probably excite you if you don't want to go to PC and you do want to go to PC, but you don't want to spend the money. But I don't really care either way. I think the more interesting thing is the discourse about it, because I think I could be wrong, but I've seen a lot of angry people about this. The price point clearly brings sticker shock to people. It's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would agree with what I am seeing as the wisdom or the proposed wisdom that this is just setting up the console market for PS6 and Switch 3 or whatever to be $600. I don't think they know they're not going to be in business with that. They just can't be in business with that. The last PS4 was 14 million, 15 million sold. This is projected to sell exact the same number. There's a ceiling for this kind of price point, and that's not enough to own, to be profitable in the console world. And so I don't worry about that, but I will say that I do think if you are a PS5 owner, especially given how little you have gotten from Sony this generation in terms of amount of software, because it's just taking longer and longer and they cost more, you don't quite feel like you've come close to squeezing the sponge of your initial $500 investment, which is still that price. It hasn't dropped price. It's gone up in some cases. So I think what you're seeing with some of the animosity towards Sony by PlayStation fans, at least in part, is them going, this isn't for me. I can't spend $700 when I already gave you $500. Mm-hmm. And now you're not releasing a lot of games, and now you're putting your efforts into this. And I'm like, I can see them being annoyed by that, but I don't think anything's wrong with the hardware. I mean, it looks great. They make great hardware at Sony.
I mean, the proof will be in the pudding shortly. Not that I doubt that this console will perform, but then how well will it perform? There's a big question mark around that. Christian5916, thank you for the $5 super chat. He goes, with the PS5 Pro, what happens if Xbox doesn't utilize the features with Call of Duty? Would Sony say they're releasing an inferior version of COD on it? No, Christian. The obligation on Microsoft is to make sure that there's at least parity, so they don't release an inferior version. But what they can do is they can just, if it's as good as the Series X, they're fine. I mean, by default, the Call of Duty should be running a lot better on the Pro, but the game's already running at like 60 to 120 FPS anyway, so I don't think you're going to get much noise being made there. But on that price point, here's an eye-watering figure just generally. I even had my guest Broken Games HDR here last week, and he conceded like that's a wild price because this was before it was announced, and I was like, I can see them doing it. And the reason why I said I can see them doing this is also I attribute this to two things. I can hear myself back, which is why it always fucks me up when I say certain words. Attribute this to one, Sony's getting away with as much as it can and being as greedy as it has to, and two, it's because of lack of competition in the space. There is no other mid-gen in this space. And if you remember, cast your mind back to the launch of the PS5. Sony was forced to price it exactly the same as the Series X. It's because of competition. And then initially, after a while, they just noticed, Xbox aren't actually making that much of dip anyway after their stock started getting replenished, and then they put the price up. And so this is where I'm reminded of a conversation I had with you when Game On Daily was going, when I said that Microsoft becoming a third-party publisher is disastrous for competition, and you disagreed with me. You probably still do. And I think this is one of the earliest symptoms or signs of that.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, let me try to come up with a fast analogy on the fly, but the end game, as I see it, is not hardware. The end game, as I see it and has always seen it, is entertainment and in our games. So yeah, you may be right that it's affecting the hardware competition, but most people who go to movies or watch TV or read books or play video games, they're just looking for fun. They're just looking for entertainment, and especially the younger generation. I'm just saying, if you're talking about the people that follow this shit and have the big setups and get super excited about this is a 20% upgrade in RAM, okay, you're right. But most people, that's not what drives the business. That's not what drives interactive.
Yeah, but okay, what about the next console? What about the PS6? That's going to be for the masses.
Eventually, all that's going to go away, and it is going to be streaming. And but in the meantime, I
mean, how eventually? Not the PlayStation 6.
All I can tell you is that it's as anecdotal. I have no data on this at all, so I don't know. But all I know is whenever I spend a little time talking about something like GeForce Now, and people eventually go, okay, Jaffe, I did what you said. I got a day pass. I tried it. There are plenty of people that are going to have a bad experience because of where they live. I get that. But inevitably, there's like 5 or 6 people who always hit me up and say, dude, okay, you were right. That's game changing, right? So, but yeah. I don't know.
I've heard the same thing. I've heard the same thing about GeForce Now.
I don't know when it is, but I guess what I'm saying though is, to me, this whole thing is kind of a dinosaur and it's irrelevant. Like, I love video games, right? One of my favorite games of last year was Dave the Diver. Okay, it's fucking awesome. Yeah. It's excellent. And it could have come out on an arcade machine in 1995, right? It's not about that for me. So, the idea of getting to a place where all of this stuff is off the table and everybody is debating the games, then we're on to something. But I think things like the obsession with Digital Foundry, I mean, good for those guys. They do well. People are clearly interested in what they're saying. But, how many of these people, I literally ask, and maybe their answer is all of them, I don't know, but it seems to me that a lot of people in the chat or any of this discourse when it comes to this topic, it's like, do you guys play games? Do you spend most of it's like, do you want to talk about why Astro Bot, for example, maybe it isn't connecting with the audience? What does that mean? Or did the way that they unveiled the challenge levels, because I got shit for that as well this week, because I was saying parts of Astro Bot were too hard.
The PlayStation guys were actually using you as a weapon there. They were like, yeah, see, Jaffe confirms that the game is hard. Whereas some people, like Gene Park, was suggesting that the game is doesn't have as good a difficulty scaling as some of the Nintendo's platforms.
And even that though was nuanced, because I was saying it's not that I have a problem with there being hard parts in the game. It's that, and there are some hard parts in the game. It's that the way those hard parts are communicated, especially given the gotta catch 'em all addiction that we were talking about earlier, that the game excels at. It is frustrating if you don't know going into those XO triangle circle levels that those are supposed to be challenge levels. And then you end up, if you're like me or you, and you're obsessed with getting all the gold flags, you're like, what the fuck is going on? This game has these random difficulty spikes. Yeah. And people are like, oh, those are challenge levels. I'm like, well, the game doesn't communicate that,
right?
It
doesn't.
To me, that's a good conversation to have if you're into video games. Let's talk about the design of it. Let's talk about Space Marine 2. Why are people loving it so much? And what? can these other companies that are maybe not having the big hits learn? What about the Star Wars Outlaws patch that just came out? Because for one of the first times I can remember, the game director came out and said, holy shit, audience, you're right. The opening 3 hours of this game are not good because of some tuning changes. And we put a patch out 10 days later. Let's talk about that. But nobody really wants to talk about that. They want to talk about the hardware, and it's fine, but, you know.
I mean,
I don't care about that.
People like new shiny things.
I
or
like
just
new
like,
shiny things too.
I mean, but there was a lot of noise to be made there. The price was, to many, including myself, an indication of Sony becoming lackadaisical. The presentation was a bit dry. You got Mark Cerny showing off the first game is The Last of Us. I'm like, really, The Last of Us?
Sure.
Like, come on.
But that's not a hardware issue. That's an issue with the state of AAA software. And the other thing I don't understand about that presentation is the only game they showed that was new, which is ready to come out, it's coming out next month or the next month, is Assassin's Creed Shadows. So it's not like that was like they only had a frame or two of the samurai walking. You'd think they could have given us 3 or 4 minutes of real gameplay.
Yeah.
But even the CNET video where they covered it, they said Sony wouldn't allow us to film more than about 8 to 10 seconds of on-screen footage of the PS5 Pro. Yeah. And so maybe
that's a bit sus, no? Well, I don't know why.
Maybe it's just because people said, well, the CNET guys were shooting at 24 frames a second and it's not going to look as good. I don't fucking know.
Maybe. Actually, that's a really good point. That's a really good point.
But fundamentally, though, I guess my point is that if you look at the PS4 Pro presentation, that was more dry than the PS5 Pro presentation with Cerny, because we were watching it at Bartlett Jones and it didn't even feel like a professional presentation. It was like, where is he, in a closet? What the fuck is happening? But Sony looked at it and said, okay, well, we sold 14, 15 million. I don't think it's too much to assume the aficionados of the hardware are going to be there in that number.
I think it'll sell decent amount. I think it'll sell. Yeah. A lot of people say no one will buy it. I disagree with that.
No, I think the number of people they need to buy it will buy it because they love that shit and they're into that shit.
Absolutely.
There's enough of an audience like it. But a lot of people are acting like this was the PS3 reveal where COD is like $499 US. And it's like, this isn't the base system. This isn't the intro of this system. It's an upgrade.
But I do think, though, Jaffe, that, you know, I tweeted this out, and I think Ryan McCaffrey suggested that this brings in the death knell of pricing, and now it's going to be egregious or whatnot. I disagreed with a quote tweeting him. I don't remember exactly what I said, but paraphrasing myself, or just giving you my thoughts on this, is that I'm not sure, because this is a mid-gen enthusiast level device. It's not really meant for the masses. But what I do think it does do is open up the avenue for Sony to explore, especially considering they will analyze this, you know, the performance of this thing. If it's 10 to 15 million, fine. But I think with Microsoft bowing out of direct competition, Sony will be inclined to increase the price of the console. And again, I will say this again, I will not be surprised if the PlayStation 6 is similarly priced. I don't...
Cool. Then it'll probably be like PS3, and they'll probably learn their lesson and fall behind Switch 2. And then they'll have to sort of pivot again. I mean...
It depends on what the state of the market back then.
That's the job, right? They're always trying to figure out... you know, but I think you're right. I don't think these guys are dumb enough to go, we can price hardware that is the base, that is introduction at that level anymore. I think that lesson has been learned. I think the minute you get into $700, you have to calculate the percentage of people that are going to say, fuck it, I'll just buy a PC.
I don't think that...
Not for $700, but if you're already in for $700,
then
plus
you might
a game, plus...
I'm there, actually. Yeah. I wanted to buy the Pro. I borrowed my mate's PS5 because I gave my PS5 away to my brother, and to play Astro Bot. And now it's like, all right, the Pro's coming out. I might get it. And looking at the price, it's not like, you know, I'm fortunate enough I can afford a PC and a PS5 Pro. But I'm just thinking, well, I barely touched the thing. I gave it to my brother in the first place. Yeah. At £700, I might as well put that towards a good PC because I actually need to use this thing. So, you know...
And honestly, PC's better for gaming. It is. It just is.
You know, honestly, it is.
And understand the verb I'm using is gaming. I don't mean sitting in front of your TV with the big TV and sound systems. I get it that there are people who just like the couch experience, even though it's not anymore. They think PC is a confusing thing. Trust me, I can barely change a fucking light bulb. It's gotten super fucking simple with things like Steam. But I said this on my stream the other day. If you love the video game medium, not the presentation, which is a great thing to love too. I'm not shitting on that. But if you love interactivity in video game type interactivity, not playing on the PC, you're not getting anywhere near 50% of the story of the state of the art of game design, gameplay, game characters, game lore. It's so funny. I was on this show with Colin, and he said one of his games of the year is Vampire Survivors, which is a fucking phenomenal game, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that he pretty much only games on PC, or on PlayStation, like, to me, that's crazy. That's like a 2-year-old game. But if you're on console, and it's not just PS, it depends on, Xbox is also behind on a lot of games, depending on what we're talking about. It's like, it's crazy to me that you are a lover of the art form and you haven't touched Vampire Survivors till it comes to console 2 years later, right? Yeah. So if you have the means and you love games, I think you should, be gaming on a PC anyway.
I think so too. If you can, then yeah. And honestly, I've missed out on so many PC games that I've seen, like, the social games, like the one where you and your friends are chained to each other and you have to climb across.
Yeah, chained together. Yeah.
Chained together. Oh man, the jokes we could have. That's why I'm just trying to balance things out. And I agree with you fundamentally, but the PS5 Pro wasn't just console war fodder. You even had the likes of Jeff Keighley come out and then start marketing this.
I heard he was talking about it, but I didn't see what his what did he say?
So let me pull out the tweet. But he just ended up tweeting loads for it and then started to justify the price by referencing inflation. But he got community noted for his efforts, because ultimately he was missing a lot of context there. So
right.
I'll link it
briefly to Mike Johnson in the chat. He says PC is trash with all the updates and adjustments. Spoken like a guy who bought a PC maybe at Circuit City circa 2003. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, Mike Johnson, but I know what you're talking about. But PCs have not. I mean, if you want to open your thing up and tinker with it and stuff, you're going to start to have problems if you're not really into that, because you're fucking around with shit. But if you buy a good PC or even a decent enough PC and you play on Steam, you play on itch, you play on Epic, and you have your graphics card, whatever, their landing page or their app loaded so it does all of that shit, it's not like it used to be where I can't get the game to run. I have to download it. I'm not saying it's for you, but it's almost as plug and play. 95% of the time, it's as plug and play as a console. 5% of the time, maybe it's not, but those cases are few and far between.
Honestly, really, that's an antiquated thought that, a lot of people, when I bought this 2070 5-6 years ago, I was like, oh, look, this is just such an effortless thing, and it just runs like a console, boots up in a few seconds and whatnot. BT Maverick with a 5. Sir Jaffe, are you rocking any PC handhelds? And Gaz, did you ever replace yours because your brother? No, I was just smashed up screen for my Steam Deck. I'm such a nice brother. I was like, don't worry about it, I'll pay for it. But I never bothered doing it. But are you rocking any PC handhelds, Jaffe?
No, but I don't go anywhere. If I can avoid leaving and going into the sunshine, I will. And so I certainly don't. I work from home. I don't have a commute where I'm on a bus or anything. I like playing games at my PC, and so I play all my games right here. So even when and also I'm 53 years old, and my eyes are not what they used to be. And so, if I'm playing a mobile game, sure, I'm looking forward for like Balaltro coming out next week on Apple Arcade and stuff. But I'm not really all that interested in sitting and playing Starfield or Star Wars or Astro Bot, sitting on the couch having to kind of do this. It's not my cup of tea, but I know people seem to fucking love it. And, it's clearly if Xbox stays in the console market, it sounds like PCs or handheld is going to be a big part it's probably going to just be the Switch. It's probably going to be handheld, but you hook it up to the TV. Because I don't think you're going to release a handheld these days that doesn't hook up to a big screen. But
Jess Gordon told me that the handheld is going to be its own thing and not a next gen device. So at the end, like, just I don't know why they would do this.
Yeah.
And then the next gen console that Sarah Bond was alluding to, the next leap, that's a bog standard next home console. Cool. I was kind of hoping
if I'm Microsoft at this point, I mean, I'm just like, why are you guys making consoles? You guys have something good with Game Pass. I don't know if you guys are good at running software development, but if you can't run software development, internal and external, you can't be in the console market because you can't come up with reasons to buy your console over someone else's. Now, maybe they've turned the page. Maybe we'll start to see that starting with, well, I mean, again, this, I've never been one of these, just this is their year, this is their year. But finally, you do see Call of Duty. You see Stalker that everyone who's played it recently says it's turned the corner. It looks pretty good. Well, I understand, but it's exclusive. Indiana Jones is from Machine Games, which whether you love or hate indie, and indie ain't what it used to be at a brand level, but Machine Games, other than one game, Youngblood, has never made a bad game. Mm-hmm. And then you have Avowed, which I get that it doesn't necessarily look like the belle of the ball, but it is coming from Obsidian that makes really interesting RPGs if you're into that.
Yeah.
If those can't make the case for Game Pass, then I think it's fucking over.
I don't think they're designed to make a case for Game Pass, though, are they?
How are they? What do you talk? Well, something's got to be.
Well,
something's got to make you want to
I'm with you there.
Not sure.
I'm with you there, but whether or not they're actually going to be making the case for Game Pass, man, like, bro,
you don't think Indiana Jones or Avowed
they're not going to move the needle at all. They're going to be like
will it keep people from churning after they sign up after Call of Duty, though? Because that's what it's really about, right? You get the big hits that get you to sign up, and then you've got the stuff that comes every couple of months that makes you go, okay, I'm not going to cancel. Like, I almost canceled Hulu recently because we never watched it, but it's like, oh, only Murders in the Building is back. Okay, we'll keep it for 2 more months, right?
I don't know if Indiana Jones or Avowed will do that.
It may not.
I'm expecting middle of the road, like mid 80s to low 80s. I don't know, matters for them both. Not saying that that's bad, because mid 80s is where Space Marines is, and it's one of my best games of the year. I want people to understand that. I'm not deriding the quality of the game. I'm looking forward to Indiana Jones, especially. It looks really good, and I'm not typically a big fan of machine games because there's just something about the floatiness of the weapons didn't vibe with me. With Wolfenstein. Yeah, Wolfenstein. Yeah, it just felt really floaty. It looks so good, but it just doesn't gel with me. But that's a very me problem. The idea that the studios haven't really missed is something I just take on with a pinch of salt now, because we saw what happened with Redfall and Arcane, and we've seen.
Sure. I'm not saying they can't miss. I'm not saying they can't miss. I'm just saying that.
I know.
At a pedigree level, it looks pretty good.
No, I completely agree with you. Just I'm explaining my mindset as well. I'm like erring the side of caution.
Guys, if they can't, with these games, after all the time they've had, and Phil Spencer has had, and Matt Booty has had, if they can't make a compelling case with their software finally this Christmas and up until February, March with what they've announced, then the issue may or may not, we may never know if the issue is Game Pass, but we know full well the issue is those guys should not be running product development. Because end of the day, if they had put out banger after banger after banger like Sony has done for a long time, I don't think they have done recently, but they have done for a very long time, people would be like, I can't wait for the next Xbox because I got to play those games.
100%.
And I do want to play, I can't wait to play Gears, but I can play that on my PS5, or more importantly, I can play it on my PC. I can't wait to play the new Doom. Looks fucking badass, but I don't need a console for that from Xbox. So, I don't care if they stop making. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I just want to play games. I don't give a fuck where I play them.
But this is you're right when you I point to the leadership and Microsoft. I just released a video yesterday where talking about how Xbox lost the console war and pointing the fingers squarely at a lot of the executives, from Phil Spencer to Satya, to all of them. And really, It's because they failed to make Xbox the value, a compelling product that can compete and stand toe to toe. And I don't think the first party is going to hit that kind of. I've been saying I'd love to be wrong on this. I'd love to be but I've been saying I'll give it next year, and then it was gonna. That's not strictly true. I'm like, when is it gonna happen?
Are you having a stroke? Should I call 911? What the fuck is he on about?
It's the ADHD, like just manifesting itself.
Some Ritalin here. Give me a shout. I'll send it to you.
Please do. But really, it's because I don't know. I don't have much confidence in their roadmap is way better than PlayStation's, though. I don't know what PlayStation is doing. PlayStation has the benefit of coasting because PlayStation's roadmap, because it has decades of legacy and goodwill that it's built up. Xbox's roadmap looks way better, but in the immediacy of things of Indiana Jones and Avowed, strictly those two, and you're telling me because you postulated this. Hypothetical. What if by January these things don't move the needle? I don't think these two will. But Doom, bro, I would love if Doom was exclusive, man. People were like, I want to buy an Xbox because that's only there. And then this is why I value exclusives, really. And, if it was that, then there's Fable, which I think was probably a 2026. Fable is probably the Xbox's best game, but best chance to score critically. That one. Perfect Dark. I don't know. I doubt that's coming out next year.
No, but I think because now you've got Crystal doing it, it'll be worst case a solid real game. I don't think what they showed was like. Real game. Yeah, I wasn't like, oh my god. Like you'd think a game that's all about the weapons and gear, they'd blow your mind, and it was like, but it solid fun.
I think it looks really cool.
It may be better than that. I hope it is, but I'm saying worst case, Crystal knows how to make a good game.
Yeah.
So
definitely, no. I have a lot of confidence in Crystal because of the exact same reason. That worst case is going to be a solid Crystal Dynamics game, which is not bad. But with a first-person Perfect Dark mix, I love the trailer, man. I really love the trailer.
New one you're talking about, the one that they showed some gameplay.
Yeah. Oh, it's just amazing. So the ones I'm looking at, if you're going to talk about moving the needle, unfortunately, I think Xbox will have to ride out a little bit because the games that that I think will do what you asked is where, I'm going to stay subbed to Game Pass, is Fable, it's Perfect Dark, and a potential State of Decay has a very high ceiling of what State of Decay could do if it hits the notes that the developers have been seeking to hit since the first game, because they had a clear mandate with that one and then a vision of what they wanted, this ultimate open world, shared world multiplayer game. Then that one. So think about it. You got Fable, you got State of Decay, you've got what's the game we just made? Perfect Dark, and then Gears of War. And these 4 games, man, are crazy to me. And Doom. And that,
I'm not suggesting those are not, but if that's great, and I agree, those are going to be big for them, or should be. But the fact that now we're saying, okay, I mean, to me, the last chance has to be up until February. They have had enough time.
Why February?
Because we know exactly what the roadmap is until February, right? That's the last announced date, which is Avowed, I believe.
Yeah.
So we've got Avowed, and if we work our way backwards, we've got Flight Sim, which whatever. I know it's great for people who love it, but that's not a big, thing for a lot of console gamers. Then you've got Call of Duty, you've got Indiana Jones, and you've got maybe or maybe not Stalker 2, depending on what you think about it. I'm excited for it. Yeah. I don't think Serve says Towerborn. I like Towerborn, but I don't think that's going to make a difference for anybody. The point is they have had, this time last year we were saying, wait for indie, wait for this, it's like, okay, we did. The fact that, and again, I love Indiana Jones, so just like with Star Wars Outlaws, I'm not the right guy to judge it because it's indie, so I'll play a shitty Wii indie game and be happy because it's indie, right? But ultimately, though, if for the general population, if the Indiana Jones stuff isn't moving the needle, if the Stalker stuff isn't moving the needle, if Avowed's not moving the needle, and the only thing that's moving the needle coming into February is Call of Duty, then I don't think the Doom, Crystal Dynamics, Perfect Dark, Gears, I'm not saying they won't be great games. I have a lot of faith in a lot of those teams, but if they couldn't do it now, then What? I mean,
when you say they couldn't do it now, what are you asking?
They couldn't create games that get people to subscribe and or keep people from churning after their quarterly superstar game, in this case Call of Duty, drops. It's never going to work. Game Pass is never going to work.
Jeffy, they don't even market. How are the people?
I understand, but the buck stops with Phil, right? Marketing's under him. I'm saying that if they cannot make it work, it's not going to work. Good, Jeffy, but you know what I'm saying.
I know, honestly, I agree with you. And I don't know what Xbox are doing. I don't know what Phil's doing. I don't know what Matt Booty's doing. You had literally the head of Europe and marketing in Middle East and Asia saying we have a tiny budget of marketing compared to Sony, and this guy works for Microsoft. Like, are you serious? Like, what kind of nonsense is that you allowed this kind of situation to persist whilst you're joining in a $70 billion acquisition of ABK and you don't market the thing?
Again, it doesn't mean they're idiots. It means, chances are what it means is they, there's a different game they're playing, or there's a different priority. I don't know what it is. I don't think these are stupid people.
I'm not saying they're stupid.
I know, but I'm saying I don't necessarily think Matt Booty is a great product development leader like the ones I've worked with.
Yeah.
I think the proof and the writing is on the wall there. But in terms of, I don't think Phil Spencer's sitting around going, "What you mean? Wait a minute, you want us to have a TV commercial, one of them things on the TV to tell people?" I think they're either because I mean, that's a ridiculous, if you're Phil Spencer and you really need this to work, you cancel a game at this point and take that money and you put it into advertising and maybe we'll see that. Maybe we'll see a Super Bowl ad or, that's February, but maybe we'll see a big ad starting to run over Christmas, and hey, if you buy these 6 games for PlayStation, it'll cost you $350, or you can get them all for $18 a month. And I mean, if he's not pushing for that, I don't think it's because he's a moron. I think it's because something else is going on that we simply don't have the data on. Because who would not understand the need to push their very lifeline?
I genuinely don't get it.
We have to assume, right? I mean, Occam's razor says something else is going on that we don't know about. Occam's razor does not say that this guy's a fucking moron. No,
not at all. When I come at them, whatever that other thing is, someone is making a decision to the contrary, but it seems so outlandish or so nonsensical to us that we struggle to rationalize what that other thing is. So obviously, other than knowing or having a sit down and chatting to him, he's not going to like me because of my video where I wish
somebody would just fucking. I'm so tired of this shit too. It's like, you know what? I mean, I get it. They're not really journalists. Their job is to get data for their site. So you're not going to piss off Phil Spencer and lose access. I get it. That's smart business. But somebody should be able to get. Somebody got 100 yards away from the goddamn Donald Trump, shot him in the ear. You'd think somebody can at least get close enough to Phil Spencer to shout one question and go. Angry Joe got inches from Keeley. Could you fucking put somebody in the room with Phil Spencer and just ask him?
I'd love to, but
let's kickstart Sacha Baron Cohen to send him over there to talk to Phil. Trick him into thinking it's Jason Schreier. I don't know. It's ridiculous though.
Honestly, I don't understand. I would love to ask that question, and I would if I ever given the opportunity. But they would look at me like I was some member of Hamas. They would never let me near him. But I wouldn't be rude. I would just. I think it's important because my buddy Colt, when he's in party chats with him, Jeffy, I rage when Colt tells me, like, he goes, "Oh yeah, I was just in party chat with him." I'm like, "Did you ask him? What did you do? Are we playing Fallout together?" I'm like, "You prick! You have this one chance." Like,
and he didn't ask him,
bro. He's just like, oh, he probably gets all sorts of questions. I'm like, bro, you suck. Oh my god!
Listen, folks watching this stream, how many people you got watching your show right now?
About 350 people watching.
All right,
hit the like button, people.
Here's what's great about your old Papa Jaffe. I'm not impressed by these motherfuckers. You know why? Because I was these motherfuckers. I know it's all bullshit. I know it's all smoke and mirrors. Okay, so what you need to do after you watch this little show right here, which is one of the best shows on the internet, come on over to Gabbin' and Games, David Jaffe on YouTube, and sign up because I don't want Phil Spencer's favor. I don't need. Yeah. I already like Shuhei, he's a buddy, but I don't need Herman Hulst's favor. I don't need to be flown anywhere. I don't give a fuck. I've been put up in hotels, nice hotels, when I worked for Sony. I've stood on stage. They've flown me all over the world. Trust me, I'm not impressed by these motherfuckers. You want somebody who's going to ask real questions, assuming these people would talk to me, go to Gaz, go to me. Enough of this horse shit.
The problem is they would never talk to us for precisely that reason, because they like them.
We should sneak in somewhere sometime. We should do like one of those, like Michael Moore back in the day used to do. We should totally sneak in.
I did that.
And then just bring a megaphone.
I did that to Guerrilla Games. I did that to Guerrilla Games at Gamescom and just snuck in. I said, I made up a name. It's like, we're supposed to. I was really aggressive. I was like, we're supposed to have a 3:30 thing with Maya from Sony. Can we just get it on?
The diversity Palestinian outreach program.
That's the one.
Let them say no to that.
That's exactly what they want. They were Jewish, so they said no, get lost. But yeah, no, we'll never know. And we'll have the Ryan McCaffrey who just says, "Oh, okay." When he goes, "Oh, and there'll be more games coming to other platforms," and Ryan McCaffrey goes, "Oh, okay." What do you mean? Oh, okay. You've been a journalist for freaking IGN for 3 decades. You piece of shit. You're not a piece of shit.
That's not really their job, though. That's what you have to understand. You're
I
not
know,
talking
but
about,
it's so dumb. Like, we're mature. And everyone in unison was saying, "What are you doing with these soft touch questions, man?"
But you're right. But you're the guy who is everybody plays that game to an extent, unless they're financially privileged enough to not care. You worry about demonetization. You said, "Oh no, we're going to get demonetized."
No, I don't.
I'm not saying. Well, you're aware of it, though.
I'm aware of it, but I actively break it. I get it.
You don't want your YouTube channel canceled
anymore than though. Why are you sucking up to IGN? Why are you sucking up to IGN?
I'm not sucking up to IGN, but I'm basically explaining, and I guess defending the fact that most people, if they were doing that job and they wanted to do that job well, the people who go to IGN, which is one of the biggest, if not, it may not be but it probably is the biggest gaming website on the planet.
It is,
most
especially
people
now.
Who go there are not going there for that
good
data.
news. Yeah, they're
going there because they want to know, hey, should I buy the DLC for Baldur's Gate? Which I know it's not, And so I think it's a question of looking in the wrong place for your journalistic heroes.
Yeah.
And you're not going to find them there because that's really not what they do.
Well,
but I agree with you. It would be nice if somebody did it. It'd be nice if somebody fucking did it that had access.
Someone who actually follows me from Dana from Bloomberg. She actually followed me, but immediately after I started going after Jason Schreier, she asked a really good question. She's the one who caught out Sarah Bond when she says, "Well, the studio that gave us Hi-Fi Rush delivered a critically acclaimed game that did massively, Game Pass subs according to you, and won loads of awards. Shouldn't a studio like that be rewarded instead of being thing?" And then Sarah Bond completely .exe full on Alt F4 brain, and I was just like, I was astounded, Jeffy. I'm like, how can you get to this position and fumble like that when this question would obviously could be the most pertinent question?
Because it wasn't a fumble. You're saying Sarah Bond?
Yeah.
Sarah Bond did exactly that's how she got to that position.
By what? Because making bullshit up? And that doesn't answer the question?
She doesn't get Microsoft is not financially rewarded because the journalists pat her on the head and say, "Thank you for giving away things and making your company look bad by telling the truth."
She didn't even tell the truth. She just said something circular.
I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying. That was the right answer if you're Microsoft, because they're not actually being interviewed. It's not like you're in a court of law. They are out there to sell. And if you ask them a question that if they give you the honest answer for, they are failing at their job. That's not what they're there for.
Well, it's very transparent.
And it's of course, but it doesn't matter. It's kind of like how in the world, at least in America, I'm sure there's similar shows in the UK. In America, these Sunday morning shows are on all the time. Meet the Press is the longest running television show in history. Every single time you watch it, you're like, why am I watching this? No matter what the journalist asks the politician, all they will do is spin it to the talking points they're there for. And you're like, what's the point of this?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that's very true.
I don't watch those anymore with the expectation of truth.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what's the talking point? Yeah, it's just,
Yeah. No, you're right. But it's just frustrating. But ultimately, if you're saying that nothing is going to spin the needle for Xbox up in February, and
I hope it will, but if it doesn't, by February, I think the writing is either on the wall or there really is another goal they're going after that we aren't privy to.
What does that mean, though? If it doesn't move the needle, what do you think will happen to Xbox?
Maybe nothing, but I don't think... What I'm saying is it will never achieve what, at least publicly, they say their goal is, which is to make Game Pass a big success.
Yep.
Because if they can't do it by now with this stable of games, with this amazing lead-in, it's kind of like back when broadcast was a meaningful thing in television. Thursday night on NBC was everything, because if you were originally, when I was a kid, it was the Cosby Show, and that was the lead-in, and then you could put a piece of shit rotting after Cosby, and it would still do at least half the numbers, right?
Yeah.
But they had Family Ties that made Michael J. Fox a star. Then it was Friends, right? And they put all kinds of shit after Friends, like shit that was crap, like The Single Guy and Caroline in the City with Leah Thompson. What the fuck am I watching? It's terrible. But you watch because you wanted to wait to get to Cheers that was 30 minutes after the end of Friends, right? So you've got the best lead-in on the planet with Call of Duty. If you can't put anything behind it, aka December, November, whatever, February, you don't need to be sitting in the captain's chair unless there's a goal that you're going after that we just don't know what it is, because it ain't what you say it is.
I just don't think it's that cryptic. I think the goal is it's all subscription based. It's all just incompetent, Jeffy. I know it's a $1 trillion company. I know these guys are very educated and they've got a lot of things under their belt, but the Xbox One generation is a glaring obvious sign, an example of just how badly this $1 trillion company can falter. And we've seen them falter throughout this gen. And without marketing and all of that, the basic essentials, these components of a business that other companies understand, Sony understands, and through that understanding, we can see the obvious success of this platform. That's Microsoft is not exempt from this. So for us to try and postulate, and I get why you're doing it, because I'm in the same position. I have that, like, what are they doing? But the idea is, I've come to the conclusion that they are incompetent, that they do not know what they're doing.
They could have failed upwards, and they are incompetent, and they are able to stay as long as they can stay. And, which again is another reason I have no loyalty to anything other than the individual game.
No, honestly.
I saw somebody in your chat earlier going, but Jaffe, if Xbox goes away, what about all that software you've bought? I mean, welcome, I'm quoting a movie. You're not going to know what it is. It's a deep, deep cut. But welcome to the 90s, Mr. Bonks, is what I would say to you, which is to say, that's how it goes. I mean, hopefully what they would do is they would still keep those games around. Like, if Valve gets bought out and they shut Steam down, I guess I still have the executable on my computer. Maybe there are workarounds, but that's the risk you take when you buy digital. And I think most people who buy digital or have subscription services are totally fine with that. It's like, but what if Netflix shut down? You can't watch Stranger Things anymore. Okay. Shit's, that's my biggest problem of the week, that I can't watch a show I've already watched. I'm good. But I get it. Some people really care about that, and that's great, but I'm not one of them. So I don't care.
Fair enough. Yeah. Let me do super chat. Everborn, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. $5 super chat. Goes, I understand the lack of competition argument, but doesn't that assume Xbox would be able to come in at a significantly lower price for a Pro equivalent or variant? I mean, Everborn, it doesn't really make a difference. One, Sony presumably know they won't do it. Microsoft has basically announced the next leap anyway. They've also confirmed that they won't do mid-gen. So even if they did mid-gen, Sony doesn't view Xbox as competition anymore.
As they shouldn't. Why? They're not competition anymore.
They're not.
Even if what have they done to compete?
They haven't. That's the problem.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Fonz, thank you for the $5 super chat. I have the couch experience with my PC as it's in my living room. So it's comfy with a wireless mouse and keyboard, with a controller. Yep. I'm good. Absolutely. That idea that, chat, if you're thinking that's the old Pentium 1 processor and you're sitting there updating shit and it's not working, that's an antiquated idea of what PC gaming is about. Yes, of course, you'll have some niggling problems here and there with like just doing some upgrades here, or some games may be an issue, but generally you'll be absolutely fine. In fact, you'll find it pretty amazing, especially if you're doing content creation or streaming. Then it's just a whole different...
Can I respond to Raja Wilco? He says, well, Jaffe apologized in February to all the people he attacked. I think you need an S, sir. Or ED. He attacked over saying Game Pass will fail and hurt gaming. I don't know who BG is. BG
Broken
is winning,
Games. That's my last week's guest.
So my answer to that is those are two different things.
Yeah, I understand.
Game Pass may fail. That and will Game Pass hurt gaming? Those are very different things.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, and I never said Game Pass would be successful, but I believe in it. And I think it should be successful and it deserves to be successful. Exactly. I don't know if it will, not because it's necessarily a bad service, but because the service can be brilliant, but if you don't load it with good software, then, service is irrelevant. But your second part, I don't think Game Pass has hurt games at all. I think subscription-based services actually serve to make games better.
Absolutely.
And we can have that discussion, but nobody really, for the most part, in this kind of conversation, Wilco, ever really wants to. If you really want to, again, talk game design, subscription-based services is actually better for the art form than buying a game outright. But you're not going to, I doubt you want to have that conversation.
I want to have that conversation with you. Why do you think that? Because that
for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
But let me give you one of the biggest ones. One of the biggest ones is the absurd Stockholm syndrome that the audience has taken on behalf of game developers who don't do onboarding well and who have their games not get good for 3 or 4 or 5 hours. They have been coasting since the beginning because they already have you as a captive customer because you've bought the game, you've either downloaded it or you've come home and you have a sunk cost and you're willing to give them the ability to be boring because you've already paid your money. But when you're subscribing, think about a TV series. Oh, you got to watch Cobra Kai or whatever. I loved Cobra Kai. And then on Netflix, the last season's been Drek. So I watched one episode and I stopped.
Same.
Right? So I'm like, that's going to make Netflix go, we have to do better because we cannot coast. So, and there's other reasons too. But a big one is that, is the fact that, you have to adjust the art form for the business model. And in this case, and it doesn't mean you have to open your game with action, but you need to fucking open it with something engaging or compelling. Otherwise, there's too many choices. People will move on. So that's what I would say. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Someone says, guys, you sound like Colin Moriarty these days. But the same guy doesn't have zero listening comprehension. And for the same reasons that the chat was saying, oh, you said Game Pass is going to be successful and it's not going to kill gaming. Like, people can't think for themselves, man. Like, I understand. I vouch for Game Pass, and that's actually an incredible point. I don't think I've considered before in terms of game design, where a subscription service almost requires, because of low audience retention rate and because of the financial investment that they've made or lack thereof compared to a full-on price, acquiring a game, that they need to be satiated right from the get-go. Which, as you were talking about that, I was reminded of your friend John Garvin and his game Days Gone. Where he himself says that the game starts to get good in 5 or 6 hours later. He's been horribly defensive about his game, which I understand. But almost to the point where it's seeming like, John, you need to relax a little bit. Do you want your legacy to be you just saying, oh no, Sony fucked me over? But, I completely agree with you. And that's actually a really good point. I fundamentally believe in Game Pass. Fundamentally, it has redressed, not completely, the balance to a certain degree with indies and other AAAs.
That's right.
So well. Like, we were having conversations with Vampire Survivors in the same breath as other games like that were coming because they're coming out on Game Pass. Like High on Life, that's a AA-ish game, and that was beautiful.
That's right. And people will try things on a subservice they would never try for buying, even for $19, let alone $60 or $70. And that is good for the art form.
Absolutely.
But, you know, it's good for the medium, and it doesn't matter if it's through Game Pass.
Yeah.
You know, PlayStation Plus this month, I think next week even, or the next week, is putting out Plucky Squire. Now you can buy it, and that's fine. But the number of people that are going to get their hands on a game that they probably wouldn't play, it's like, it looks like a kiddie game, whatever. But if it's quote free because you already subscribed, you're like, I'm hearing so many good things. Fuck it, I'll try it for 10 minutes. Oh shit, this is really good.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it gives you. That is another good thing for the medium. Look at, I'm not saying it set the world on fire in sales, but what's the fucking game Pentiment? On Game Pass. Pentiment's not going to get greenlit anywhere but like on Steam by 4 developers working out of a fucking, you know, abandoned mail carrier van because that's all they can afford. I mean, that's not a game that a publisher publishes, but they did. So, you know.
No, honestly, it's such a necessary force, which is why your friend Colin Moriarty is like almost vehemently against this service. And I think it's just such a disservice to games developers as well, and just the potential of this service. Whether or not it succeeds is a different question entirely. That relies on Microsoft delivering a quality consistently, marketing the damn thing so people even know it exists, and communicating that stuff. And they don't do any of it. So this is where the frustration comes in for me as an Xbox fan. It's just like, when are you going to get... Why are we even talking about marketing? I shouldn't have to talk about marketing. That's your problem that you need to resolve. But I want Game Pass to be successful. So if you have COD out there, it would be great for me that more people are playing COD. All my friends who are sitting on the fence will like, all right, let me jump on. Now I've got a 4-party custom lobbies of like 24 people just playing. I want that. But this is a Microsoft problem. They just genuinely are inept. And I tell you another indication that they're bad. When they had their internal testing in their games, do you know, Phil Spencer said, oh, we thought Redfall was going to be 20 points higher than what it was reviewed. Mate, it didn't take me long to say this game was shit. Who have you got there, Phil Spencer? Like, why? Hellblade 2, same thing. I was telling, like, when I got the review copy, I was like, this is going to hit like mid 80s. They thought it was going to be a 90 plus meta game. I'm like, you're so out of touch. Who are these people that you've got in your...
I will say, when I was at Sony for the longest time, they I want to say they were called EEARD, I forget, but there was a pretty dependable group of services that you could hire, and they were like savant at guessing this is roughly what your Metacritic's going to be. Like, they nailed Twisted 2012. We were like, holy shit. And marketing used them to determine the budgets. They're like, okay, well, our research says you're probably going to get a 74. That's going to translate into this many sales. So we're going to spend this much money. And the same thing applied to Sony when it came to play testing, not focus testing, but bringing people in. Do you like this game? What do you think? Would you buy it? There was a great deal of accuracy. And my last couple of years working with Sony, all of that, like even Drawn to Death, we tested in Europe, we tested in America, and we were like, I know it sounds crazy given how poorly it was received and how poorly it did, but we were all expecting a hit, to the point that PR called me, or called Scott Rohde the morning it came out, because I was bitching about Donald Trump on Twitter. And they said, could you tell Jaffe he doesn't work for us, but tell him if he can to kind of just not be political for the next few weeks, because the game is getting great buzz and we're expecting great reviews, and we don't want that to overshadow that. That's how, up until the day of launch, they thought, because of those numbers, we had something. So somewhere along the lines, the quality, maybe Xbox suffers the same thing, of expectation of what their software is. The ability to predict that seems to have gotten a lot worse, because it happened that I saw at Sony the last couple of years as well. But yeah, anybody who played Redfall and thought that was a 90, and maybe that was press though, maybe that was PR. He's like, I don't want to fucking say we know it's a flop, right? I mean, how do you frame that up?
Yeah, no, that's quite telling actually. You've had that lived experience about that. That must be a bit. Well, when you
have
look
I
at
ever
that,
met up indie dev Rami Ismail? Not really. He doesn't like me very much because I think he feels that I'm very left and I'm very progressive, but I don't toe the line when the left does something stupid. And there was one day that I pushed back on something and he saw it and he blocked me and he's like, "You're a fucking idiot." I don't remember what it was though.
What? Oh, could be a million.
It might have been something with it could. I don't really even remember.
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, I played his Vlambeer Air game, which I thought was really fun. It was like a little indie game, but I don't. I think he's kind of full of himself, frankly, from what I can tell.
Yeah, he follows me, but
How's that working out?
He doesn't respond to my DMs. I was like, hey,
yeah,
like I'm like, all right. He's a bit one of those kind of like, I'm quite important. I don't have time for you.
I think he was pushing back on something to do with like Gotham Knights, or maybe the designer came out and said something, and I don't remember. I have to look it up. It's been a while.
Oh, okay. Doesn't matter. Annapurna. What happened with them, man? Like they randomly.
I think it's very interesting what happened there. Is this? Oh no, it's Alex. Is that the actual Alex? I don't know. I don't know. Like that guy. It seems like he's a guy I could be pals with, but he just seems
he's
he
nice,
too much. Man. He might be nice, but then he puts like the Melanie Mac on, and she's just such a fucking grifter and shit. And I'm just
Who's
like,
Melanie Mac?
Isn't she the one that's on his show? They're kind of like the Screw Attack guys. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
I don't think so.
So if I'm thinking of you, Alex, it may not be Alex. It's somebody who doesn't have a shirt. Like I keep wanting to send the guy a shirt because he doesn't like ever put a shirt on when he's streaming. I'm like, dude, I'll super chat you some money for a shirt. But maybe it's not. Oh, I'm thinking Side Scrollers, Wayne. Who's the guy on Side Scrollers who runs that shit? Anyway, whatever. Point is, I was distracted. Okay. So we were talking about Annapurna.
Yeah.
Annapurna. So I thought this was such a fascinating show scenario because let me give you a little very quick backstory. Nathan Gary and Deborah Mars were Sony Santa Monica for the longest time. Deborah Mars was doing 6 Days in Fallujah when that was first kicked off at Sony. She was doing L.A. Noire. That was originally a Sony Santa Monica game. Those obviously left. Then they started working on What Remains of Edith Finch, which is, I think, one of the best games ever made. And
yeah, I loved it.
Sony canceled it. And Sony didn't cancel it because it was bad, but they canceled it because they're like, we can't sell this. It's not what we do anymore. We cannot sell this game. And so they canceled it. And I don't know the machinations of it, but Deborah Mars and Nathan Gary ended up continuing to be the external producers on it at Annapurna. So I don't know if Annapurna reached out to them or they reached out to Annapurna, but that's kind of was the beginning of it. And for the longest time, and there was a couple other people that were key, but from that moment, they had become kind of, before Harvey Weinstein revealed himself to be a monster, and I hope he dies soon. And he almost died this week, and I wish he would have, but we still have time.
He did? Wow.
Almost, with a heart condition. But they were like Miramax at the time. And Annapurna has been up until 2 weeks ago, which is everything they put out is artistic and interesting, and it works. And, it doesn't mean it's always a big hit, but it definitely does what it's meant to do. And suddenly they bring in this guy from Epic. And then Nate, who, by the way, is the guy who invented the share button on the PS4 controller. That was all his idea. Let's make it a button. Let's do Twitch streaming. Let's do all that shit, right? So they promote him and Annapurna to the president, not of Interactive. He was already that, but to the president of the whole studio, movies, TV, games, blah, blah, blah. And they bring in this guy from Epic to be the president of Interactive. And somewhere along the lines, Nathan and Deborah and those guys were negotiating with the head of Annapurna, which is Megan Ellison.
Billionaire's daughter?
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. To spin off. And it's starting to sound like it was because like the deal with Remedy was not through the Arty Farty version. It was through the Epic guy, Sanchez, last name guy. And it sounds like Annapurna is more interested now in going AAA and embedding or ingraining the game products to tie in with the movies and the TV shows, and really no longer being sort of that Annapurna that everybody came up loving with their just brilliant games. And if you don't believe me, go look them up. It's insane.
Cocoon.
How much good? Yeah, Cocoon was their last big one, but they've got mixtape coming out and all this stuff. So anyway, I guess that deal fell apart. And Nathan left, Deborah left, a few other people left, and then the other day they announced all 25 of them left, and they're still Annapurna Interactive under Sanchez. I don't know where these guys are going to end up, but my understanding is the games that are under Annapurna are still moving forward. We're still going to get mixtape and all that, but the days of Annapurna being what it was, I think, walked out the door this week and a couple weeks before.
That's
so
crazy.
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Such a sad loss because they had an eye for picking the right games, man. They had an eye for them.
Did. But maybe, I mean, but to be fair, again, we don't know what we don't know. So maybe Annapurna was like, yeah, man, we love the awards. We have so many awards in the offices, we barely can have shelf space for them. But end of the day, we're a business. Phil Spencer taught me that. End of the day, we're a business. I love when he said that. Like it was almost like
we're a business.
It was almost like Phil got the aha moment like only a week ago. Somebody finally got through to him. It's like, yes, you work for a capitalist company in a capitalist world, and your job is to make them a profit. And now it's like when you go to therapy and you learn something about yourself, and then you marble it into all the conversations that have nothing. It's like, yes, Phil, we know you're a business. But anyway, so you know, it was almost like they woke up and said, yeah, but we can't pay the rent with those awards. We can't fund movies with those awards. And so we need to, and maybe Deb and Nathan and all those guys were like, maybe there is still a home for them out there that is willing to not have expectations like an Annapurna, but are like, hey, we don't need your games to be insanely profitable. Just make your money back as often as you can without losing us the meta money, and we're good. But there's not a lot of companies like that anymore, so, you know. So we'll see.
Hopefully it's not that case. They'll set up their own thing.
If I'm Phil Spencer and I gave a shit, I'd pick them up. They would be perfect to make games for Game Pass that keep people from churning. They would be perfect to get awards for Xbox. Are you nuts? If they're not on the fucking phone with those guys already going, we want to basically make Annapurna, but we want it to be through Xbox. Again, it's one more ball that they've dropped over there at Xbox. Well, because I get that Sony doesn't have the interest, although Sony should, because it would make PS Plus more valuable. But Xbox needs, their whole business model is predicated on the idea of stuff coming to Game Pass that keeps you subscribing. And why would you not hire those people and give them that budget, which is not, their games were never that expensive. So anyway.
Well, they just laid off 600 people from Xbox this week. Sure. So a lot of them majority of them were executives and support staff, which isn't great because we've been hearing, I don't know what that means, is support, actual support, like, you know, the indie devs were asking for support, that kind of support, or something else.
I mean, it's hard to know. When layoffs happen, sometimes it's to clear out people you want to fire, but you can't for legal reasons, because it takes too long to you know, document everything. And other times, it's usually a mix between, okay, well, we're doing layoffs, which sucks. We got to lose people we'd rather not lose, but that's the breaks. But hey, we can at least put in these 70 people we've been trying to get rid of for the last 3 years. So it's hard. You never really know who got knocked out.
Well, that's just bad news and more bad news for Xbox with the layoffs. It's an industry-wide problem. There's a lot back and forth with me and a lot of people on this. A lot of people blaming consolidation for this. But even though I was vehemently like, of the case that, well, it may be contributing to a certain degree, but this is an industry-wide phenomenon that's affected indies to AAs to AAAs. Why is when every time Xbox has some layoffs, you point the blame squarely at consolidation? I don't understand that.
Well, I believe they acknowledge that. You know, Sony doesn't come out and say when they do layoffs, it's because we bought Bungie. But I don't believe they did. But Xbox, didn't they blame
the the only thing, not the 650, no, they haven't. The closest you've got for them even hinting
I
at.
thought in the letter that Phil Spencer released,
that was the 2100. Yeah, the previous stuff. In that letter he cited overlap as one of the reasons. So there will be overlap, and that gives an indication of, well, that's linked or connected to or a reason of consolidation. But the whole thing, like if you look at Bungie's, everyone's left, and then they're swallowing and absorbing people and letting up 300 whatever people go, or whatever the number was. It's because of overlap. It's always the same reasons. But ultimately, you're going to get more of this. Also, Sony as well. Some stuff I'm hearing, you're going to get it. It's pretty scary times. I'm getting some developer.
You mean that Sony's about to do layoffs as well?
That's what I'm hearing.
I haven't heard that.
I don't know what scale.
No.
This is a very close friend of mine who's basically told me about Xbox's multi-plat strat a year ago in November last year. So yeah, and that's good. He knows loads of developers, and there's always developer mates, and they're just saying they're all, and it's really horrible environment for a lot of people. Actually, know someone.
I'd never go back. I wouldn't work in that business. If anybody's out there watching wanting to make games, don't fucking go work in that business. Go make your own fucking games. It's too easy. It's easier than it's ever been. You don't need almost anything.
Yeah.
Unless you're like, the one thing I've heard that does make sense, like I've talked to programmers and they're like, yeah, but if I work at a Sony, I get these really interesting problems that I'm not going to get at the indie level or making a game in Unity or Unreal. It's like, okay, there are those sort of top of the food chain minds that need to play in those spaces, and that I get. But short of that, don't go into that business. It's terrible. It's fucking terrible.
I was going to ask you that actually when I was writing out these topics. Like the gaming industry seems a bit ruthless and quite.
It's every business is ruthless.
Every business is ruthless. It's true.
Yeah.
The gaming business particularly seems to. I think there was an article where an ex-Sony guy said that people should just go on holiday if they got fired or let go.
Chris Deering.
Deering, yeah.
In 1995, 2005, he was the president of SCEE, the European branch.
Yeah.
And he said, he basically he said, I'm sure this was a hard thing for all the executives, the layoffs, that they felt bad about it, but there's nothing he said that was fundamentally wrong. It was the tone deaf cruelty of his expression, which was, that's life. You get knocked down, go drive Uber for a year, move
that's what he
cheaper
said.
place, go live on the beach for a year, stay relevant, knowing what the news is in the industry, because once you get knocked off the train, it's hard to get back on.
Yeah.
But hey, that's life. He's 78 years old. He's a very rich man. And the truth be told, there's nothing he's saying that's wrong.
It's not.
Mean.
Yeah.
It's mean. And it didn't have to be framed in such a way.
Yeah, no, he's nothing fundamentally wrong. It's just the way he said what he said.
Yeah.
That rubbed people the wrong way. But, this is a creature of this industry. Right now, though, Jaffe, as you as a, former dev, having seen the industry, being part of the glow up of it actually with Twisted Metal and God of War, the industry now, and I was not a developer, so I don't know, but does it look like an alien place to you now compared to when you were working? Because it looks different.
Certainly Sony does. I mean, the last, I don't want to miss anybody. I'm sure there are still people at Sony that were there when I was there that I care about, but the last real person that I had real affection for when I was at the Last Stand Media show, we learned, because there were Sony people that came to the show, because it was in San Diego, we learned that guy had retired. And we're like, oh my God. So the first thing I did was, I dropped a video yesterday. I've been holding off on the last game I was ever working on because his boss didn't want me to show it because they didn't want people to know Sony canceled it. But his boss quit a while ago, and then he retired. So I'm like, fuck it. I have no loyalty anymore. But but Sony is not the Sony I came up with, right? That's why today, if I were coming out of college today and I was wanting to get into video games, I would do it in the indie. If I couldn't do it on my own, I would go try to work at an indie company. It doesn't mean it's more secure, because it's not.
Yeah.
But it's because what I came up with was a level of creative freedom that is incredibly difficult to get these days. And even if you are top of the food chain, you still have to jump through all kinds of hoops because the money you're spending. Like, I remember there was a live launch of Cory Barlog's 2018 God of War, which I thought was excellent. I loved that game. I did not care for Ragnarok, but I loved the 2018 one. Although Ragnarok was beautifully made, had some great parts. I just didn't work with me. But anyway, he was talking about how difficult it was to get the game pitched and through and approved, right? And I'm like, you guys are Sony Santa Monica. You, Cory, have had hits before when you were at Sony. It's a great studio, and it's a franchise that they want to rebuild, right? So even at that level, there is a difficulty in being able to express your creative vision at a level that at least would be satisfying to me, which is why. But back then, Sony wasn't like that. Back then, when I started in those years, it was like working in an indie studio. You had some people you had to please, but there weren't many. These days, though, I would never. I have. That's why people are like, "You're so salty against Sony because of all they canceled Drawn to Death." I'm like, no, they were awesome about Drawn to Death. They gave us money to make this game that just went up on my YouTube, and they kept us in business. They funded our company. What are you talking about? But I don't have any allegiance to Sony just because it's Sony. Those people, all those people that made me love that company, they're gone.
Yeah.
They either quit, retired, or were forced out. So no, do I have allegiance to Herman Holst and Horizon? I don't dislike Herman. I don't know him, but he's done nothing for me. I've done nothing for him. I don't care. I'm a gamer. That my allegiance is to the game. And my allegiance into my audience on YouTube and Patreon, and my allegiance when I was making games wasn't even to Sony. It was to the gamer.
Yeah.
Which is why it was so fucking difficult, because I did not care about their politics. I didn't want to run Sony. I just wanted the game to be the game. And sometimes we won, sometimes we lost, but I never disrespected the audience. Although I may have made games that they felt were disrespectful because they didn't like them, and that's fine. But yeah, no, I would never fit in today at Sony. I would cause them to either jump out of windows or I would jump out of a window. We would not get along at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm a complete if I ever wanted to get into gaming and I just look at things like Unreal Engine 5 and I feel like it's such a powerful tool, I would definitely go indie, be your own boss and not be. It just seems horribly bureaucratic, a lot of pressure, and it just stifles your creativity unless you're working on a passion project like that you really love, Halo or something, and they give you a job.
Yeah, you don't go into games at that level for your own personal creative desires. You go indie or you make it yourself. And if it's like, but I want to work with the coolest tools and big graphics, that's fine. But don't expect, that costs a lot of money. It doesn't even cost that much anymore, but to do it at the Sony level does. There are people making beautiful looking games where they're one or two man bands, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And hang in there, because sooner than later, you just, I literally use my microphone, talk to ChatGPT, and I'm making a top-down arcade game right now, like from the 80s.
That's crazy.
I have no programming skill other than basic from when I was a kid, and it's just walking me through it. And I'm just kind of like, hey, man, I want this to move like the asteroid ship. Do you know that? Yep. And it does it. And then I'm like, okay, but now I want it to do this, that, and the other. Okay, yep. It's got bugs. It's not perfect, but imagine where we'll be in 10 years.
5.
Amazing.
I use ChatGPT a lot. It's just completely transformed the legal industry now. We've got that woven into our case management systems with their own variants of built off ChatGPT, and it's insane. I don't think
even if it's just like go through this contract and find I assume find me anything that we might be missing. What are we missing about this that we need to cross T's and dot I's? Oh, nothing except these 3 things you might want to touch at.
Exactly.
Okay, well, explain to me. It's wonderful.
It's incredible to the way we will go with gaming. I am really positive about it. The only thing I would say is I am negative about gaming right now, And a lot of people think it's grifting. You're, scorned Xbox fanboy. The console war is lost. But I don't think people understand the sincerity with which I come at this on a competition perspective. And my view is this. Now, I know where you're gonna say to counter, because I know you probably vehemently disagree. But with Xbox bowing out of direct competition, I just wonder what's going to happen to gaming in the console space. You don't make that distinction. For you, console gaming is just a box. But ultimately, the vast majority of gaming seems to happen for a lot of people on these boxes. With Sony and Microsoft, even as ineffective as Xbox was, there was an element or a threat level where Sony had to be on their toes. When Microsoft acquired COD, when they acquired ZeniMax, I was like, they own all the Western RPG outfits. They own Starfield, Fallout, Elder Scrolls. What do you do when you're Sony? This would be Sony going, well, let's fucking make sure we can weather the storm of a no Call of Duty or none of these Western RPGs. And we bought Bungie because we need multiplayer. Now with Xbox going out of the picture, I don't think it hurts Xbox, because Xbox are now going to rely... The quality assurance was terrible as it was before. Now they can rely on the PlayStation user base to get their numbers right. Before they were under a proper microscope when it came to their quality, to the point where they delayed Starfield by a year. Phil Spencer, you could tell that they were concerned on the quality front because of Sony there. But now Microsoft will, and you'd have to convince me otherwise with some incredible evidence to the contrary, but I think Xbox will relax. Xbox can, and execs know that we can tap into the PlayStation user base. It's not so much about really striking that quality bar as high, because we've got a whole pool of players that we can rely on, as opposed to just Xbox. So that we really need to get the quality right. If you think I'm incorrect there, and you think the competition will still maintain itself between platforms, I'd love to hear how. But to me, it's quite...
Phil Spencer! Phil Spencer! Phil Spencer, baby, let's go! Yeah!
That is loud. That is loud.
What is loud?
The Phil Spencer thing. Phil Spencer just came in. Did
I
you
thought
just
that was your chat. No, that was your chat. I thought.
No, I've
You don't
never.
have a thing on your... I thought you had a thing on the chat.
I can't help but be racist. It's true.
Oh, that's my soundboard.
I thought someone hacked my Discord. I was what the?
That's me. So, okay. What I would... I mean, yeah, look, I don't... You say that like Microsoft... It hasn't been since 360 that Xbox has been any kind of competition for Sony. Anyway. Mm-hmm. So this idea that, they're backing off, what's gonna happen? Same fucking shit that's always gonna, they haven't been a thought for Sony for the longest time, and they haven't deserved to be. I love Game Pass, and I love Starfield. I love Forza Horizon, but the idea that they are Sony's real competition, that's not where their heads are these days, I don't think. And that's Xbox's fault. They just haven't created a reason to fear them. Yeah. But in terms of what will happen, I mean, if you want to talk, here's the thing: whether or not Xbox can rely on PlayStation's fans to be there for them, and that will let them take their foot off the gas a little bit. I mean, there's plenty of third-party publishers that are no longer in business because they took their foot off the gas. And just because Xbox put something on PlayStation, so far, Sea of Thieves is great. Hi-Fi Rush is great, but you're going to put Redfall on there? Okay, see what happens, right? So it doesn't give them carte blanche to make shit. They still have to compete with all the other competition of people's times and money on PlayStation. So I don't think their job as a publisher gets any easier. I think the question of why they need to exist as a console maker, when it's very clear. I mean, think about the fact that you're saying they are still in on making consoles. is it's ludicrous to me. I don't understand it.
I don't get it.
It doesn't mean there's not logic there. It's just they haven't shared it, or I don't have the brain power to get my head around it. Because I'm like, if you're gonna put your shit everywhere, including on the competing console, who in the right mind would want your hardware? Like, why am I buying that? Just buy a PlayStation 6, and if you still want to play console games. Or a PC, because you're going to put it on PC too. So when I hear they're still, and I don't even mean a handheld, but when I hear they're making a big next gen sequel to Xbox Series X, so far I have not heard anything to explain the answer to the question of why would you do that based on what you do with your software. I don't get that at all.
That's
good. Maybe there's a reason.
Maybe the 2030. I think a big. It's not.
Well, hang on. Serve in the chat says because people want a console for more than just games. No, they don't. I mean, I'm not saying they don't also play movies or stream movies or whatever, but that's a nice side effect. You know, I take Ozempic so I'll stay alive longer. Does it help me get laid more often? Sure. But that's not why I started taking it, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand what else you would do with why would you buy a console if all you want is, you know, I don't get that. I don't agree with that. But maybe he'll give us an example. I don't know.
I think primarily a big chunk of Xbox Game Pass subscribers, I would hazard to think about 80% are on console. So at the moment, it's not. Microsoft are not in a position whereby Xbox can completely forsake them. Their primary weapon, it seems, to get people onboarded onto Game Pass at the moment is still console, even though they've hit a ceiling with that, and they're probably seeing greater growth with the PC side.
And again, I bought the Fire Stick the minute they announced it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, but you're in a minority there.
Well, you know, again, I don't consider myself Jewish. I'm half Jewish, and but certainly though, I think for the number, here's what I think: for the number of people, and I don't mean the guys watching this show or watching my stuff, but the number of people, you know, Microsoft could do a lot worse than, because that Fire Stick cost me $20, right? And I bought another thing to wire it, but it doesn't have to be wired, right? The number of people that they could get if they just said, you know what, we're going to sell the controller for $50 and we're going to give away 3 months of Game Pass and a Fire Stick. The number of people that I mean, yes, it's not going to be brilliant streaming for people, and for some people it's not going to be acceptable, but the majority of people will be like, oh, it's cool. I'm good enough. I got to play Indiana Jones this Christmas. I got a $15 Fire, you know. But right now, though, you're right. If you don't want a PC or you don't want to stream, the hardware is your only way to go. But think about that. Then in that case, fine, but I don't need it to be next gen. Just fucking release a little fucking Fire Stick. Release something, you know, 25% the size of an iPhone. Say, this is your Xbox. Well, no, because you're saying because they can't stream. So you're right. So you got to have something to play the shit on. I get it.
We're not there yet, but it might come to that point. It looks like all points... Unless we have a massive world war, which is also very feasible.
Make it simple. Xbox, Indiana Jones is not confirmed exclusive. It's coming to PlayStation, man.
It's only confirmed exclusive at the moment. What?
Avowed is exclusive, I think. They haven't announced that, but I'm sure they will. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Like, there's no logic they've presented to suggest something should ever be an exclusive again, unless they just say, maybe what they're doing is saying, we've given up this generation. The next one, though, we're back to exclusives. Maybe.
Ranting Greek Gamer says, Jaffe, something like that, like the Fire Stick, might sell in the US, but not the rest of the globe, especially Europe. I think he is right as well. You'd be surprised.
Let me ask you a question. What is your download speed?
I've got gig down and up.
What is the let me see what the average speed in. Let's just go to the UK.
England. Yeah. Average internet speed
download
UK.
Internet in UK. It is 70 megabits per second. Okay.
Yeah.
GeForce Now internet speed requirements. 45 megabits per second for 4K at 120 frames per second, right? Then let's see data centers, GeForce Now map, because the other part is how close you are to a data center, right? Okay, so in Europe, you've got data centers in the United Kingdom, right? And the UK is not very big because we would have tried to take it over if it mattered. So my point to you, though, is you should try it. Get a day pass. Do a test.
I think in Greece, it's not that great. But then ranting also streams decent quality. Average speed.
It's not for everyone yet. The reason I'm bringing it up, ranting, is because you would be surprised by how many people feel, without even trying it, that it won't work good enough, and it will not work good enough if you're a MLG Fortnite player or whatever. But if you're just kind of like you love games and you're more than happy, to not play multiplayer games with zero every now and then a little stutter, give it a try. Nate says, Gaz, there's a data center in Reading. I don't know where you live, but you don't have to be that close. You just have to be like a couple hundred miles and have decent internet. And I mean, have you ever tried GeForce Now?
I've heard some incredible things. I will definitely try it. Nah, I haven't.
It'll take you 10 minutes. Download a day pass, try it. See what your experience is. It may never replace gaming for you because you like to own your games or whatever, and I respect that. I get that.
I don't care for that.
Okay. But I think the number of people, I think the reason I talk about it so much is because the number of people that push back don't have a real education on it. And they seem to think that they can go toe to toe with me when they have no experience with it. And I have tons of experience with it. It's kind of like saying you don't like Indian food, but you've never tried it. Yeah. And I'm like, well, you don't get to have a seat at the table if you've never eaten the goddamn shit.
Yeah, I downloaded it on my LG TV. It just figured out how to connect my controller.
Try it wired if you can, though.
Yeah, I'll try it on my PC.
I mean, it's not bad wireless, but I'll tell you, to get Wukong at top of the line GeForce Now, $20 a month, or
you can play Wukong. You can play Wukong.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Wukong, Star Wars, and you can play it with everything turned up, ray tracing, cinematic level, all the bells and whistles, cinematic level. Runs smooth as butter. It's excellent.
I've got gig internet. That should be pretty smooth on my end.
The issue is the internet speed and the distance to data center. So
I need to do that. I was actually meaning to work on a video on it, my impressions of it, if I actually tried it. So I will try it. I'll definitely try it.
Yeah. Give it a try. Let me know. Seriously, hit me up. I wanna hear if you had a good or bad experience.
No, definitely. I reckon Asa was like, he said he was expecting all sorts, and he's quite a bit of a snob with the tech. He's got a 4090, and he said it's amazing. He said it was amazing.
The GeForce Now, it's magic. If it works, it's not going to be magic for everybody listening to this. But why not try it? It doesn't cost you anything.
I saw someone stream Alan Wake 2. They were streaming on Twitch, and I didn't realize the whole time he was playing it on GeForce Now, and it all ray traced bells and whistles and everything. So if Black Myth Wukong, which is something I really want to play, but my PC sucks, is on on GeForce Now, I'm definitely gonna try it.
It is, well, you got a guy in the chat saying he's in London. It's super fast, reliable. It feels almost native. Imagine now what that says. What that means is going forward, if you can get it working for you, you don't even need a console. You don't even need a great PC. You just need an average fucking PC. My son runs it on a fucking 5-year-old MacBook.
Really?
It's like running Netflix. You can run it on your phone. It's streaming. It doesn't, you need some base requirements, but it's not like you need it's like, my phone doesn't run Netflix. Sure it does. It's streaming. It's not processing anything. So
Ranting asks, how come Xbox Cloud Service doesn't have the same quality as GeForce Now?
That's a great question. Everybody's different. Luna's has been great. Stadia was a terrible business model, but theirs was great.
Yeah.
And GeForce was great. PlayStation's is getting better, but it's not as good. And Xbox is good, but nowhere near as good. I couldn't tell you. I don't understand the tech behind it. I don't know if it's predictive algorithms. I don't know if it's number of data centers. I have no clue. No clue.
I'll definitely check it out.
Right, but he's right.
Yeah.
Which is great because now you've got, Starfield is now running natively because we know Game Pass hooks up with GeForce Now, which is great as well.
Yeah.
But Starfield is now running off the PC version, whereas before you could just run it. Most Game Pass stuff, I believe, would only run on the Series X.
Yeah.
But Starfield doesn't now, which is great.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm going to definitely try it because then that will challenge a lot of things about if people start.
Alex, I'm not afraid of your nips and shoulders. I just don't understand why it's bizarre. It's like, who's that guy? The guy who's like, all right. That guy, the actor.
All right.
Won the Oscar for.
All right.
He was in the first season of the goddamn True Detective. Matthew McConaughey.
Oh yeah,
it's,
yeah.
It's not that I'm afraid of your nips and shoulders. I just don't understand. Like, do you own a shirt? It's just strange to me. When guys show up a lot of times without a shirt, it feels like, what are you doing? Like you're not doing a bodybuilding channel. You're talking about games, and I don't have a problem with it. Good
he's
for you.
He's proud of his body, maybe because he's got decent body.
Proud of a lot of things, but I don't. I'm proud of my cheese pizza I make, but I don't bring it on my fucking gaming stream. I'm like, I just don't understand. I'm not being negative. I just don't understand it.
Wait, maybe
he says, I'm going to judge the man. He judges me all the time. I'm judging him. Put a fucking shirt on.
That's fair enough. Percy Pringles, thank you for a member for a month. What's up, Gaz and Jaffe? The OG guys from Top Gear just released their final episode this week on Amazon Prime. End of an era. I don't know if you guys watched Top Gear.
No.
Jeremy Clarkson.
I know what it is, but I know what it is. But what was something? Was it as relevant to this conversation as Alex's shirt?
Oh, it's the most irrelevant things
it's
ever.
About cars, right? It's about cars.
Cars, yeah. It's about cars. But it's an epic show. You should see what's in my pants. He says.
No. I mean, maybe if it's impressive, share it with the class. Let's see. We'll judge it for you.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Alex is the guy with that Fratanga guy.
Yes.
Oh, I don't like that Fratanga guy. Alex is fine. I'm thinking of somebody else. No, Fratanga's an asshole.
Why?
He's an asshole. He's a grifter. I don't like grifters, man. I don't like them. Well, grifter's not right. Grifter's wrong. Grifter implies that they're lying to you. That's not really.
He's not lying. He's quite sincere.
No, that's what I'm saying. Grifting is the wrong term. They've been slapped with that label.
Yeah.
But it's more kind of rage baity. It's more just, stirring, like the quartering. I don't think is a grifter, but I think he's bad for the internet.
Yeah.
Even though he seems personally like a nice guy. I've interviewed him before, but there's a sense of making people angry and then sleeping good that night. And I'm like, you just pissed off a lot of people and you were mean. I guess that'll pay the rent, but man, that's what you want to leave behind? But that's not grifting. That's just being mean.
Fratanga's nice.
He's a quiet. Alex isn't so bad. Alex is fine. I can have a real conversation with him and disagree. Fratanga was just a little whiny fucking...
Did you have a conversation with him?
Yeah, he was a dick.
Oh, you did? You two had a conversation together? I missed this.
Yeah, I was on with Alex. Alex came on, and Alex and I, even though we disagreed, had a nice back and forth. But Fratanga was just being a total dick, and I'm like, all right, well.
What was the topic?
Who the fuck knows, man? I don't remember.
When is the cheese pizza stream, says Chris.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do it. Love a pizza right now. Chat, Jaffe, it has been an incredible show. I think we're gonna.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It's been wicked. Honestly, it's always wicked when you're here. This is the first time we've had you on here.
Flirting with me, baby.
Touch me. This is what I'm gonna do. And Alex, take my shirt off. No,
that's right.
Jaffe. Yeah. You're gonna be. Tell the peoples what
listen,
you've done.
Peoples.
Yeah.
Listen.
Go on.
Listen. You have to come hang out over after we're done with Gaz. Not immediately because I have things to do, but come to my channel. We talk games. I have another show called I Love the Weird. The world of UFOs and ghosts and all this weird fucking shit is getting crazy. You got to come for that. I love the weird. Come find me on YouTube. Find me on Twitter, or don't. Or if you don't like me, fuck you. But if you like me, let's hang out. Let's be internet pals. Come on now. There's Secret Sauce. Gaz just put up the thing. So click it. Come on over. See if you like the cut of our jib. I would appreciate it. And again, Alex, I got nothing against you, but that Fertanga guy, come on, man. Let's elevate, buddy. Let's grow. You know what you did with your body, the bodybuilding? Let's do that with your spirit, with your moral fiber, with your fortitude. Let's bring your ability to communicate and articulate your love of the medium to a higher level, sir.
I can confirm you. He gets really high. He gets really high a lot of the time.
He gets what?
Really high. If you want to talk about higher level.
Oh, I get high too. I love that.
Oh, Fritanga.
I got so high the other night. I saw visitors.
No way. You got visuals.
I did. I recorded it. I'm going to do a video about it. It was amazing. It was delightful. And it was on pot.
And I haven't even done DMT.
I said to them, I don't understand how you're coming to me, these beings. I said, this is marijuana. I did a lot of it, but and they said, yes, that's what they said to me. They says, we know that, but it's going to be a while, they said, before you do the DMT. And because of that, we can come through to you this way as well.
Are you actually saying that, or that actually happened?
Have this, well, you're not going to be able to hear them, but you can hear me talking to them on my video because I recorded it.
But the DMT point, was that actually,
yes, they said, we know, that you're planning on DMT and you're planning on exploring that, but right now you're not going to be doing that in the immediate future, and we can come to you this way. And so they did.
Wow. But
and they said, and they showed me things, and I said, and they said, but we can't let you take the memory of what we're showing you. And I said, but what the fuck? And they said, we respect that you're a seeker. You want to know what's going on. We like that. And we will let you remember that we showed you, but we cannot let you remember what we showed you. And that's on the tape too. It's crazy.
I don't think you're ready for DMT. Well, I think you are ready, but no one's ever ready for what they see.
Well, yeah. I mean,
and I want to be there when you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. We got apparently there's going to be a new UAP congressional hearing in a couple of weeks here in America. And it sounds like they're going to start naming some names. And there was a Congress guy that came out last week, and you can get this on the internet. I'll send you a link if you want. But
send it to me.
He was saying, when Grush was in front and talking about all the stuff he saw, they brought in people into this classified meeting that he said he could reveal their names, but not in a public hearing. And so the Congress guy came out of the meeting where those people had come in. It was 2 Air Force pilots, a doctor, and somebody else. And he said, yeah, they pretty much not just confirmed firsthand what Grush was saying, but they had some pictures, and we saw some pictures, and it's mind-blowing. And we want to get this stuff out to the public if we can.
Wait,
this is a congressman.
Pictures of what?
I don't know. UFOs, UAPs, interdimensional beings. I don't know. I'm as agnostic on this as I am on religion. I'm not a believer. I don't know. I've never seen a UFO. I've never seen anything paranormal. Is it all a fucking sort of counterintelligence op to fool Russia and China? Maybe. But at that point, ask yourself how stupid China and Russia would have to be to go, I guess it's aliens. It's like, yeah, I mean, come on. I couldn't tell you. I don't have to tell you. It's just bizarre.
Remember, you're more atheistic / agnostic. Agnostic then means you're a bit open to everything, whereas the atheist side is like
I'm atheist as it relates to all of the gods that have been proposed to us so far. I don't believe in any of that. But that doesn't mean that it still means I don't know what the fuck's going on. Could there be a supreme being? Maybe. Could there be consciousness that survives the body? Maybe. But do I believe that Moses talked to a burning bush, literally, or Muhammad ascended, or Jesus came back? No, I don't believe in any of that. I don't believe in any of that. They may have put things there. The messaging, I believe in a lot of it. I believe there's a lot of great morality in it. But the fictional part, or the part that there's a lot of it that I consider quite fictional. And there's proof that a lot of it is fictional. But anyway, that's what I mean when I say I'm atheist agnostic.
Yeah, but I'm saying with that frame of mind, you're going to change when you do DMT. It's going to be incredible.
That's the goal.
No, but
I want to know more. The older I get, I'm not afraid of death. I don't need there to be anything after death in terms of consciousness. But the older I get, the more I'm like, I'm running out of time to learn what is going on. And I know I'm never going to learn all I want to know, or at least not in this lifetime. But there's more going on than I get to know right now, and I want more. I want more.
Oh man, you have no idea when you do it, bro. Like it'll change you. One, you'll be less scared of death. There's just completely less, significantally less. But bro, I just want you to. I want to be there.
Come to America. When are you coming to America?
Hopefully soon, actually. You're in Santa Monica? No, where are you?
I'm in San Diego, but if you're in America, I can be anywhere on the west.
San Diego's beautiful, actually, I've heard. I've been to California. Yeah. I don't mind going there, man. Like, just going again and meeting some people. I would love to come down with you.
We should do a Septic Sauce Gabbin' and Games meetup.
Oh, yeah.
In San Diego or LA or wherever, San Francisco. And then we can do some dope also.
DMT is going to be a bit tricky because it's still illegal.
No, I know a guy.
Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, when you say gas, you got to get cool with Colin Moriarty. You have no chance. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, David, Jaffe. It was amazing. And I always love our off-the-cuff chat.
Thank you, Gasoline. I appreciate it, sir.
Mad love to you, man.
To you before. Have a great Halloween, man. Halloween's coming up. I'm excited.
It is.
Love that shit. And seriously, you got to stop hating on the Palestinians, buddy. They did nothing wrong. Two-state solution. That's what we need.
Palestinians. Shout out to you. And shout out to everyone. Hit the like button. And if you're listening on Spotify and all of those other places, thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you very soon. Peace. And end.
That's it?
That's it. We are done. Thank you so much.
Oh, man. Anytime. That's always fun. I appreciate it. I hope you're doing well.
Likewise, man. Well, actually, hold on. I say that we are gone. Oh, my. Jaffe, you won't believe this. My mouse has run out of battery. We're still live. They can hear us.
Good. Let them hear us. I don't give a fuck. I am no different. Let me ask you this. Am I different on or off camera or the same?
There's no difference.
Yeah.
There's no difference.
So what do you want me to do? You want me to just hang up or disconnect? Or do you want me to...
Yes, please. I'm going to quickly get my wire to charge my... I
would like to rear up and jackknife my legs and kick you both with my foot bone.
All right. Fair enough.
Love you, Jaffe, man.
All right. See you guys. Bye, everybody.
Take care. Peace.
Indeed.